Flash is coming up at the top of the staircase. There's an easy kill for Hyper in a second and a third. Dark Zero in full control. A triple for Grixer, and there's the quad. United.
Great teamwork. Sonics take the lead again.
Disrupt the best of the best.
His teammate's gone, and what's this? He's got a Nitro Cell as well.
TSM.
Tempo Storm absolutely storms through this matchup. Oxygen takes the series.
Space Station Gaming are your world champions.
Welcome to Playday 4 of the Rainbow Six Siege US Division. SSG versus Oxygen, and then TSM versus Dark Zero. The top 4 teams going head-to-head today, determined to get those Ws. I'm Jackie Jing, and I'm with Veli and Jesse. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about the upper bracket action we are expecting today?
You know, last play day, we had a blast. Tempo vs. Sonics is one of my greatest series of all time. Now that the Titans are playing, I hope that they're able to top that. I doubt they can, though.
I don't know.
Jesse, we're already seeing some Twitter shade being thrown around, too.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you can tell the players are ready to get on into it. They know that these are going to be some big games. I mean, we got Oxygen, Space Station, Dark Zero, and TSM all playing in best of threes. Like, majors come and go without play days as exciting as today. So, this is going to be such a good day. I'm really, really hyped to see it.
Everybody is fired up, and we want to get all this rolling, but very quickly, first, we're going to take a quick look at our sponsors. Alrighty, let's take a look at today's schedule. And for Group A, SSG versus Oxygen. Group B, TSM versus Dark Zero. Y'all, I really don't know which matchup I'm more excited to watch. These are some talented, impressive teams facing off today. I just know with these teams that we are signing up for it all. I want to see jaw-dropping gunfights. I want to see clutch plays. I want to see calculation and unpredictability. Bring it, boys. Bring it, right?
Oh, yeah. The gunfights and everything, we're in for a treat, especially for the first matchup of the day. That's going to be the one that I have my eyes on. Oxygen, I'm going to see if they're able to pass that hump to be one of the better teams in all of NA.
Jesse, how you feeling?
I feel good. I think this first game is probably like a little bit more exciting. Not to say that game 2 is anything not to get hyped about. I'm excited. You know, it's July 1st. It's Canada Day. We got the 2 Canadian players on both Oxygen and of course Space Station as well. So, you know, I'm Canadian as well. I can get behind that, and I'm excited to see who's really the better Canadian in the league.
Well, we definitely want to get to this Group A match, but very quickly we want to check in with our casters, Kix and Intero. And how are you all feeling about these upper bracket matchups, gentlemen?
Well, I wasn't aware that Jesse and I were wearing the exact same shirt, but I mean, there you go. And as we're both Canadian, I feel like this is the garb that we need to wear to celebrate here today. But hello, thanks for the introduction. I'm feeling good. Michael, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling excellent, Parker. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I'm really excited for these matches, and before I don't get a chance, happy Canada Day, Parker. Just thought you should know.
Thank you.
I really do care. SSG versus Oxygen has a lot going for it in terms of deciding who's going to be pushing out of Group A and number 1, but most importantly, again, just figuring out where these teams stand in relative to each other. I think that we've also got a lot of hype going into this. The shade that's already been thrown from Troy on Twitter, that was some good stuff.
Yeah, we definitely need more of that. And it's really nice to see it, and I hope that it continues. But with that said, I think the analysts have more to say.
Yes, that Twitter fire definitely exciting, but let's check back in with our analysts, Veli, Jesse. Let's talk about the action last week really fast and why our teams are here in the upper bracket. Group A, SSG took down E United in 2, and then Oxygen coming out on top against Disrupt 2-1. Whew, that was a series, right? Group B, TSM defeated Tempo Storm in 2, and DZ versus Sonics went to 3 maps, but DZ got the W there. And Jesse, can you talk about how the upper bracket works exactly?
For sure. So the teams that won their opening games will then go against each other. So that's why we have Space Station Oxygen, and then in Group B, obviously, TSM Dark Zero. And then if you win this best of 3, if the teams that win today win their matches, then they will get first place in their group. They'll be undefeated, 2-0. They get the group victory. And what that means is they lock down top 4 for the stage. So they are very likely, not guaranteed, but they're likely to get a direct invite to the major. They're guaranteed to, at a minimum, get a spot in the North American qualifier. So no matter what they're playing after our sort of regular season ends, it means that you can be, totally safe out of that relegation and all that stuff. The bottom 4 is not something you have to worry about any longer. So there's a lot of good things in store if you manage to win today.
Yeah, definitely a lot on the line. Let's get to today now and do a deep dive on these teams that we are seeing in this first matchup. And let's start with SSG, our world champions. They start off the season strong, beating E United in 2, but Veli, Oxygen is a much different team than E United.
Oh, Oxygen most definitely is a more different team than E United. And I think Space Station Gaming, they're going to be well prepared for that. I think the biggest issue for Space Station going into this is that E United, you have a lot of players in these different roles, and Oxygen, they have the best possible players in those specific roles, lacking the best roamer in Rainbow Six, in my personal opinion. But then you also have him on attack as not roam clear, but also flank watch. Fox A, who's an amazing player as well. I'm really interested to see how Bio's gonna do as an IGL against Space Station, but I think Oxygen, they're more ready for this than anyone else.
Yeah, and talking about being ready, Jesse, SSG is backed by a very strong support team. Their coach, Lycan, plus their 2 analysts. Would you say that could play a big part in this matchup?
100%. I think every game that Space Station plays is, partly played before it even begins, with obviously Lycan putting in a ton of work behind the scenes. Sov and Luke, their analysts, also put in so much work and so much time to make sure that Space Station is fully prepared for everything that could go wrong. And that's why they're one of the most successful teams in the world, if not the most successful team in the world right now. We got the highest attacking win rate in all of North America, sitting at a nice 69%. They really do manage to execute on those attack rounds very, very well. And when things go wrong, they've got clutch players to make sure that they still have a good chance. Bosco had 3 clutches last playday, which is really impressive because that's a lot of rounds that you're just otherwise would be losing if your players weren't stepping up in the ways that they are. You've also got players like Faults, who went plus 68 last season. I mean, this is an all-star lineup with an all-star coaching staff, and they're definitely a team to be feared.
I would like to say, also, this team is one that lacks ego on the coaching staff. You take a look at Lycan in his previous interviews. Whenever they barely squeak by with a win, especially if it's from a clutch, he is not happy about that. So to have that type of discipline from the guys up top, from the coaches up top, the analysts and whatnot, I mean, that's pretty significant in my opinion.
Awesome coach, also an awesome dude. We love Lycan. But really quickly, y'all, we want to give an extremely warm welcome to a new addition to our talent team, Jess Brohard. She has a storied esports career. She's a gem of a human. We absolutely love her, and you'll be seeing a lot more of her. She is hosting our weekly show and doing a ton of content for us, so we're really, really happy to have her on a team. We love you, Jess, but please hit her up on social media. Give her a warm welcome. This community rocks, so I know y'all are going to treat her well. But let's take a quick look at her interview with Fox A.
Hey folks, I'm Jess Brohard, and I am here with Fox from Oxygen. How's it going, Fox?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for joining me. So first, I did want to take a little bit of a look at your previous match versus Disrupt, where you beat them 2-1, and now I know Disrupt are kind of a newer team, so there wasn't really maybe a whole lot known about them. So what were your expectations headed into that match?
I'd say we were pretty confident going into the game. We knew how their team played, and they're a newer team, so they didn't have that much development yet. They definitely impressed us with their showing and how well they did. We actually thought it would be a lot easier, I guess. But yeah, we still made a little mistakes on our end, so we just kind of wanted to tighten it up for our next game. And I guess they beat our expectations, but we still came out with the win. So
I think that's exactly what the casters said. They were kind of expecting a 2-0 in your favor. So can you tell me about some of those little mistakes that you feel you want to improve on going forward?
There's nothing too much that I want to get into, but I'd say probably the individuality. I think maybe after we won the first map so decisively, we kind of maybe just let it get to our heads that we could probably like just run around and like steamroll these guys. But we had a feeling that if they were going to win a map, it would be Consulate anyway. So, you know, just tightening up a little bit of the issues that we had, and yeah, I think we'll be good for our next match.
So moving forward, you're going to be facing Space Station Gaming, and I just hear so much talk about them. They're constantly billed as a top team. So where's your head at for that match?
I'd say there's a lot more preparation for SSG. Obviously, playing against other teams, especially like getting ready for DG is a different way than getting ready for SSG. SSG is a team that constantly adapts and always improves. So, you know, it's really just going to be about the adaptation, and if we can get our maps in and just, you know, playing who plays better as a team. So I don't know, I think we're pretty confident going into it, and SSG is a good team, so we're not going to sleep on them.
Are there any nerves at all? Any pressure?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, you know, usually at this, as long as we've been playing, I don't think really anybody gets any like nerves or pressure. I mean, SSG is the world champs, right? So if anything, they have to worry about like losing that title, which I'm pretty sure they've been undefeated since then. So who knows, you know, eventually they'll slip up.
Do you think that they might slip up against you guys?
I think in our bracket, if there's a team to catch them off guard, it would probably be us, just because of our unpredictability. But yeah, we just have to let the game talk for ourselves.
I love the confidence. Thank you so much. That was all I had for you. So best of luck going forward.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Jess. And yeah, Fox talking with a lot of confidence there. But let's talk about Oxygen. They pulled off the win against Disrupt, but DG was hindered by skin violations, and they still gave Oxygen a run for their money. Okay, taking down SSG is a tall order. Jesse, can OXG pull off a win against the fiercely dominant SSG?
Jack, I'm not going to try to hide anything from you. I think that Oxygen are actually going to win this matchup against Space Station. So let's pull out some numbers, right?
Okay.
Oxygen, along with Dark Zero, are the best defensive team over the last 3 months inside of North America. Why is that? I think it's because of their flexibility. Last week, we saw both Foxley and Laxing play 8 different defensive operators, which is ridiculous. I think that Oxygen had more flexibility on their defense than any other team. That's part of the reason why they have such a high defensive win rate at 66%. And while perhaps their attacking win rate is not the best at only 30% over the last 3 months, they are working on that. And I talked with Redeemer a little bit last night. He talked to me about how they're working to fix their attacks, add a little bit more structure into that, a little bit like SSG, a little bit like Dark Zero, but keep it loose, keep it in the way that we know Oxygen esports. So I really do think they're going to surprise some people here and take home the dub.
Valley, I'm a little surprised by that answer. How you feeling?
I love it, man. Jesse speaking with his chest. And if you work with me, you got to do that more often, right? I want to see more of this from Jesse, so shout out to you. You know what? Like I said, make or break game for Oxygen. Not that dramatic, but you get what I'm saying. Oxygen has been a team ever since their last banner on the Reciprocity and Cloud9. They were always great, but there were levels to their greatness. We've seen them at Invite. We've seen them at a lot of events where we've thought that they are the best team there. They can upset everyone out there, even the people that are supposed to win the whole event. But they always fall short, and we are tired of them falling short. We know what they're capable of. Some of the best players in all the game. Vertical, even him. So when it comes to this matchup, I'm going to see that potential be put to use. I'm tired of talking about it. It's time to see it.
Okay, Valley, I do have a question for you. Do you think that the best of 3 format could benefit them? At USN, it was a best of 5, and Oxygen, Rec at the time, lost 3-0, so...
I will say this. The best of 3 talk should never go against Space Station Gaming. We all saw what happened at 6 Invitational 2020. This team was supposed to lose against NIP. They rallied back and got better by each round. So, when it comes to this, we're really going to see if Oxygen has enough gas in their tank.
And to add on to that, I want to say that I think the map pool for Oxygen is not bad against Space Station Gaming. You know, there's obviously maps in there that Space Station are likely to roll them on, but they've got some bans, so I think they can work around that. I'm very interested to see if Clubhouse makes it through, because I think that Oxygen are a really good Clubhouse team, but they always seem a little bit scared to bring against Space Station. So maybe now will be the time that they bring it out. I'd love to see it, that's for sure.
All right, let's talk predictions, gentlemen. Jesse, I'm assuming you're sticking by your guns here.
Yeah, I mean, I already told you, Oxygen Esports, I think are going to take this game. They're going to surprise a lot of people. And, well, I know for sure it's going to be a close one. 2-1, I'll say Oxygen.
Felly?
I have to go with the road champs. I don't see them losing when it comes to this. They have their eye on the prize, and as long as Bosco's on this roster, this team is still going to be the best in the road to me. So it's going to be Space Station Gaming. But before you throw it to the casters, I have to do this. I promised them. Even though I didn't predict your team to win, as a community, we need to all come together. If everyone could just add Foxy on Instagram, okay? Look at that beautiful human.
Oh my
like all the
gosh.
pics. It's what you do. Davide_Bucci. I don't know if I said his name right, but support the man and show him some love, all right? Let's go.
A lot of selfies on there. A lot of selfies. All right. Thank you, Velly. Thank you, Jesse. And for all of you watching at home, we just gave Foxy a social
Give him a 10K.
plug there. So
We have to.
do not forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. And coming up, we do have our community poll, and we'll be checking in with our casters. Don't miss it. Follow us on social too. Follow us. We'll be right back.
I would say what makes me a successful IGL for the team is that I just have so many years of experience of playing the game. I also think I kind of have a natural ability for leading.
You have to really understand all aspects of the game to be a successful flex player. Like, I played every single role pretty much. So like, I understand where I need to be, what I need to do, like when I need to do it.
I'm always changing it up, whether that's changing the operator you play to changing the positions, to changing where the claymore or your cams go, or even like your air jabs.
Even when I'm playing in like my worst games, I don't really like shy like from gunfights. I know if I start lacking on entering, if I'm more like not confident, it will slow our pushes down. You gotta have to know your role.
It really takes all 5 components to have a perfect team. You really have to have all 5 people doing their job to the best of their ability.
When you're a good teammate, you make everyone around you better. And when everyone around you is better, then you get better as well. I think it's just kind of a domino effect in that sense. I'd say the transition to moving our team house in Las Vegas, it kind of builds that camaraderie chemistry when you kind of overcome conflict.
All of us have become pretty good friends from not just being on a team together, but living together.
Practice is way better and our pro league matches are way better than when we are all at home.
It's just a lot easier to coordinate everything when you're in person together.
What motivates me is I just want to be the best player in the world.
I just want to be the best at what I do, being the best individual I can, and I want to win.
I literally just want to win. I want to be the best, I want to win with my teammates, and that's what pushes me.
It really is hard to pick which of these two matchups today, Michael, are going to produce the most amount of fireworks, but I'm glad that we're getting to see SSG versus OXG because I think this is the least predictable of the two matches. I don't know if you'd agree, but you've got the defending world champions going up against a newly revitalized Team Oxygen, and honestly, I've been impressed with what we've seen from OXG so far.
Yeah, honestly, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Parker. I mean, if you take a look, you zoom in on Oxygen and their stats, you got Laxing and Foxay, who are currently both in the top 3 statistically for North America. And I know it's early days, so that really doesn't scream a whole lot, but it's still impressive. And overall, the team has been showing up in a pretty awesome fashion.
Yeah, and honestly, I think a lot of it's going to come down today to the map pool. You know, we've seen operator bans already been kind of flipped on their head because Echo is not available for play. Of course, he's still sidelined because of issues involving his yokai drones, and it really has brought a huge amount of variety to what defenders we're seeing get taken out of this current meta. And obviously we're still somewhat new to the meta because they're trying to figure out how to use Jaeger and Wamai together, if Oryx fits in, if Yana's going to show up on attack, etc. But I'm very curious to see what maps we end up going to. You know, SSG is a team where their map pool is very well known. We've seen a huge amount of their gameplay going back to OGA Pit, USN, 6 Invitational. OXG's had a little bit less experience across the globe, so they haven't played quite as much, but we still know that they're strong on most maps. So both of these teams are going to be coming in on pretty even footing in regards to what their map pools are. And while I'd still give SSG the edge, I don't think that there's really, outside of maybe 1 or 2 maps, that big of a difference between these two teams.
There's certainly going to be some interesting things going on in the map ban phase, but before we get to that, don't forget about our community vote. This time around, it's going to be something a little bit different. Which team will have the overall top fragger for the series? Now, this is an interesting one for a couple reasons, mainly because, I mean, you got SSG, and they're a crazy team, but so far through the playdays we had for both these teams, Oxygen is one of those squads that typically will have performers that stand apart from the rest of the squad, namely Laxing and Foxay. So this one really could go either way. We could even have a team that loses end up taking this community vote. So don't forget to vote R6 Esports NA on Twitter. You can find the poll there. And, well, I'm sure that'll be an interesting result for that one.
Yeah, that's the tough one, is you might be comfortable with one of the teams winning. You might be even confident in one of the teams winning, but you don't necessarily know who's going to come out on top. And while obviously there are people that you would bet money on, you never really know. I think you pointed out Foxay and Laxing earlier. That's a good one for people to bet on. So if you're a novice and you're wondering, well, they both happen to play on Oxygen, so you might have a safe choice there with either of them.
We'll find out when we actually get into the match, though. And, well, talking about this series overall, given that we've got 2 teams, one with a, I guess, you can't really fault the record of SSG, and another who, at the end of the last season of Pro League, season 11, were kind of struggling. That's Oxygen, or formerly known as Reciprocity. Coming into this new setup, they're looking a lot stronger. It's kind of a story of the established versus the pushing to be so. And I think that I talked about it briefly at the beginning of the season. I do think that Oxygen as a team is going to flourish in this new format. I do think that they're going to have a really good shot at pushing for those top spots, and definitely a really good shot at getting to that major. I mean, there's 3 teams at NA that are going to qualify right off the bat, and then that 4th one you could still qualify for later down the line. I think that Oxygen's got a bet for that. But we do have the map bans ready, so we're going to go through those real quick. We're going to figure out where we're actually going to play this series. And as Parker mentioned, this is a very important part of this match. It will determine quite a lot for the overall outcome.
Well, you can't be surprised by Clubhouse being the very first band from Oxygen there. By far and away Space Station's strongest map. I think every team in every region would agree with that one, and SSG helped shape the meta of the map across the globe and obviously have tremendous success on it. So if you're Oxygen, that's what you take care of. Coastline, a very frag-heavy map. It plays extremely well to Oxygen's playstyle. That's a smart counter ban from SSG. And then Oregon, a map that neither of these teams have played yet, will be up first. So there's going to be an interesting shift in our thinking, given that it's such a question mark as map number one. What a way to start off this series.
Yeah, Oregon is going to be a very interesting one. I'm sure that's why Oxygen are bringing us there. Consulate as the second. That is also interesting because let me look at the stats here. Yeah, that is the most banned map from Space Station Gaming over the last few months. They have been avoiding Consulate. So the fact that that's coming out now I haven't talked to them about it, but I imagine that's some of that Lycan magic right there. He's bringing something out that I'm sure SSG has been preparing and saving, because keep in mind, this match will determine which team is first overall out of this group. So when you finish here today, it's going to be pretty important. You take that W, you push all the way through, you go into Group A for the second stage. That'll be substantial. Bans will continue, and Theme Park, rightfully so, is banned by Oxygen. That is the most successful map for Space Station as of late. They've played it twice, they've won it twice, and that's against the likes of E United and TSM.
Well, we've got Villa as the final decider. This is a pretty even contest between both of the teams, so I don't know if there is a single one of Oxygen or Space Station that walks away victorious in this map ban phase. I would say it's pretty even. The edge is probably going to go to SSG just for their tenure, their pedigree, their competitiveness. You know, they're not a bad team on Consulate. They're not a bad team on Villa. In fact, they're quite good on both of them. Oxygen, obviously, having a much smaller sample size, you can't exactly have the same amount of confidence when you talk about OXG on either of these maps. So in regards to the map ban phase, I mean, both of these teams have something to be happy with. The game is going to be played not in the map ban phase, which is actually quite nice. You know, there are times where we'll emerge from a map ban phase and a team has very definitively won. And, you know, it's a quick 2-0, it's over, and it was won and lost here. I don't think you can say the series was won or lost in the map ban phase. I think it's going to need to be played on the battlefield, and I'm excited to see what these two teams get up to.
Yeah, I think that, like you, Parker, I feel like this could go either way with the ban phase that we've got here. The thing that there's two really unknowns here. There's obviously Oregon, which, as you mentioned, Parker, neither team has played today. And then there's also Consulate, which Space Station, again, they've been avoiding Consulate. On the side of Oxygen, Consulate has been played once and lost once recently. That was to Disrupt. It was the only map that we actually saw Oxygen lose in that series. So this is, I think, a really interesting lineup right now. The key for me is going to be, will Oxygen be able to perform on Oregon as they hope they'll be able to? Because that's not a given. You know, they don't have anything to really throw that against to be like, okay, we've seen how SSG plays on Oregon. We know we can counter them. That doesn't exist. Space Station have been avoiding that map like, well, Consulate. So there's a little bit of anonymity for Space Station going into this match, in a manner of speaking.
It's also that when you come into the start of a new season, teams will have new maps that they want to play. That happens as well. You know, we've seen teams ban a map religiously for entire seasons and then pull it out in a very intense matchup or one that they think might be close. And I mean, if you're SSG and you've been hot in Consulate for a particular reason since the 6 Invitational, you know, over the last 3, 4, or 5 months, there might be a good reason for you to bring it out against Oxygen. Maybe you genuinely fear this team. Maybe you think that they counter you well. Maybe they've been doing exceedingly well in scrims, and while scrim reports aren't exactly something that you can base an entire strategy off of, you can definitely turn around and say, oh, well, you know, damn, these guys are playing pretty well. We need to up our game. Let's bring out a map that we don't think they're comfortable on, that we haven't played for a while, that might actually work out quite well in our favor. Maybe Consulate's that, who knows? And you know, we're just moments away from getting into this matchup, and I think there's a lot that we can dive into. I am really eager to see what happens with Oregon. These are both teams that are, in their own way, innovative. Obviously, SSG, they play in a sense that, You know, they've got a team of analysts. They've got Lycan as their coach. They've got a lot of smart players. For Oxygen, you have that unpredictability. They play a play style that not a lot of people in North America play. So let's get started, though, on our very first map. We're going to go to Oregon. Space Station versus Oxygen. Space Station starting on defense. A lot on the line here for both of these teams.
Certainly so, Parker, certainly so. And actually, I just looked at the stats. Just one little tidbit. The 3 maps that we're seeing played today, if we get to all 3, are the only 3 maps that Space Station hasn't played recently. It's kind of interesting. But with that said, though, the ban's underway. Thatcher Capital will be taken out of the picture. So no more bolts from your Brazilian Capital. No more EMPs from the English Thatcher. We'll see what the defensive bans are to follow that up. Probably, I would imagine, one of the counter electronic or counter hard destruction. I was going to say Cade probably is the most likely, but it's Mute who is dealt away with. Remember, Echo is still banned, so they don't have to factor him into their ban phase. Interestingly, we still have Mira in play right now, and it's going to be Valkyrie who gets banned out. That we've been seeing a lot of Valkyrie bans lately, so that does not surprise. But that will mean Mira's in play. I don't know that there's going to be any Mira play here, though. On Oregon, we haven't really seen that yet, so we'll have to wait and find out.
I like these bans. I like that Valk is being banned as regularly as she has, and obviously any map where you are capable of, you know, using those Valk cams both outside and inside to lock down quick entry points, to lock down the places where you know the push is going to come from, etc. She's incredibly strong. So Valk is a no-brainer of a ban here.
Yeah.
It also means that with no Mute and no Valk and Echo not in play, IQ is not really necessary for the attackers either, and it's not the end of the world that there's no Thatcher. You mentioned that you thought there might be a Kaid ban. Well, there isn't. In terms of denial on SSG's side, you will notice that there is none. So nothing is going to prevent Oxygen from being able to cut through those walls. Nothing is going to prevent Oxygen whatsoever from being able or being unable to take out any reinforcements. Double hard breach on Oxygen's side as well mean that they'll be able to make quick work of whatever reinforcements SSG may have. So both the Maverick and the Hibana likely put to work upstairs on that master wall, maybe over towards the back of attic in large tower or big tower. That's something to keep an eye on as SSG just finishes their setup. And given the fact that they've opened the hatch in attic and they've double ADS'd along with the double reinforcement, suspect to see quite a heavy hold of this particular part of the map.
Yeah, the tower attic push is so common as of late when executing onto the top floor. If you can get control of that attic, you can apply a lot of pressure to the bomb side directly. But right now, it's looking like Oxygen are setting up for a master side take. It's hard to tell as Foxay's running over to tower. They've got a little bit of a wide spread here. I think Oxygen's just probing, looking for the most opportune push. If they decide to commit to a tower take, Canadian is there at T2 stairs in a position to disrupt the attack. Kind of indecisive here, Canadian's. Not sure if he wants to play by T2, T1, or if he wants to fall back. I imagine once he gets droned out, he'll start falling back to the site. And yeah, he's going to actually go, it looks like, all the way downstairs, down into pillar. So that's probably the right call. Canadian, at most, wasting, 10, 15 seconds, making Oxygen double drone after he destroyed the first drone, just to be sure that he's gone. But that is valuable. That has some potential to give Space Station an edge in this round. Sometimes those few seconds make all the difference.
This attic wall is going to be very quick to go as well. So whether SSG is going to bother to hold this position as readily as they are, Rampy doesn't seem like he's much interested in leaving. It's going to be a real heavy focus on that attic from Oxygen, though, as they're able to get the master wall as well, opening up the bottom portion that leads into attic, and then the back of it from Maverick. This is a tough spot for the Wamai to be in. He's got the covering support of a black mirror behind him and a teammate to boot. So there's some insurance policy for Space Station. And of course, let's not ignore the fact that it's Rampy playing there as well. This is a man that doesn't miss his shots, so expect that if he comes up into a 1v1, that he's going to be in a good position to be able to hold on. Bosco playing nearby Canadian. I don't know if he's been droned or not, as Foxay's little intel gatherer just scoots on by. Laxing might be wise to it, playing on the back tower, but Canadian will continue to be a man in motion, as Oxygen have really not been able to take up that much ground.
fact that Canadian was able to get out of there alive really does speak to the control that SSG still has on this map and the lack of authority that Oxygen has on the push. You can see we're coming down to the last 30 seconds here, and still no casualties on either side. Plenty of hard destruction, yes, but what does that accomplish? Well, Slash is going to say Rampy goes down. And that's going to be a really good start. A second one for Slash as he peeks towards the main window. Almost, there it is, the third. Beautiful shots from Slash on the entry. The smoke to cover and the attempted plant. Thinking they trying to C4 from below. Will he get it? No, it's just the Vector, but he does deny the plant. C4 follow-up will miss. Bosco gets laxing, though. It's still inside of Attic somehow, and there's only 2 seconds left. All these defenders need to do is survive, and they will. Beautiful job from Thinking Nade denying the plant. And Bosco coming in big with the shotgun blasts. A nice attempt there from Oxygen and Slash, especially on that entry, but they just didn't have the time.
I'm going to chalk that one up to poor communication for Oxygen, because there's no way you lose a 2v5 in that place, in that bomb site, when one of those operators is downstairs and the other's still isolated inside of Attic. There's only really one way out of Attic at that point, because you know the Mira is not going to bother to go through the kid's wall, and because of that, all you need to do is hold the Attic doorway. The other member of SSG was Thinking Nade, that was the Mira down below. You need to waltz his way up White Stairs. Once again, yes, the C4 claims Slash puts you in a 4v2, with Oxygen needing to just lock out 2 points of entry. That's it. You saw the Jackal. He was heading over towards the wall of Attic, or rather from the wall of Attic over towards where the diffuser had been dropped, and he gets taken out by Bosco. Bosco kills somebody inside of Attic, and yet nobody from Oxygen pivots to watch that doorway. Was that just bad comms happening at the end of a round? Well, it sure seems like that was the culprit. As for Thinking Nade down below, when the C4 went off, you saw Slash engage on White Stairs. He ended up taking out Canadian on that position, but the Mural was in clear line of sight on White Stairs as well. Slash likely saw the Mira and could have relayed that information, and when he gets C4'd, you know it's from below. Right there, the death that happened inside of Attic and the C4 from below that was caused by the Mira should have been 2 very easy calls from Oxygen to the remaining members of the team to say, all right, one's in Attic, one's downstairs, I'm going to go for a plant. At that point, it's a 2v2. But it seems like Oxygen just were unaware. When Thinking Nade retakes, he gets a kill of his own. Bosco emerges from Attic, he gets a kill. And the thing to me is that neither member of Oxygen was actually looking in their direction.
Yeah.
So these were kills to foes that couldn't fire back. That's why I say that this really boiled down to communication, and honestly was a round that Oxygen should have been very easy to take.
Yeah, definitely agree. I mean, a good attempt, though, especially on that entry from Slash. That's the best we can say in Oxygen's
That was a
favor.
masterful entry.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible play from Slash, by the way.
Yeah. But here we are, round number 2, and an interesting decision from Space Station. They've decided to go to Meeting Kitchen. And can I just say, I saw a little bit of their setup there with the castles and the Miras. I really like it. I really do. The way that they're setting this up is extremely interesting. Thinking Nade's got control of the double window above him, and he's going to be able to control the B bomb site from this mirror window. The second mirror window inside of Meeting is going to apply pressure to B. So any kind of pressure that Slash is applying by opening this wall, I mean, well, he's not applying pressure. That's kind of the point, isn't it? It's because of these mirror windows that allow SSG to have an off B site hold. And now they just have to worry about their other bottlenecks. But they are definitely putting up a good hold on those as well, as you can see by Thinking Nade's aim. Castle barricades are going to make this position playable, as you can see just behind that mirror window. So this is a nice setup. I gotta appreciate this. However, Foxay does get in through the double window, it seems, and he will get one of the mirror windows open, the one in security. So that's a little bit of an oversight from Thinking Nade, allowing that to happen. But it is what it is. He'll have to adapt from now.
It's a very powerful spot for the Zofia to be, and I don't expect, unless there's a roamer that we haven't seen off-site yet, that Foxy's not going to have much of a challenge upstairs. But the big question mark is the positioning of the Vigil of Fultz. Where is he going to be inside a classroom? Does he retake the Armory stairs? He's joined not too far off from Rampy, who will also now make his way towards that first floor. SSG have pushed themselves so far back and have allowed Oxygen to just sit perched over top of the B-bomb site and kitchen, while also being able to extend possibly towards the back of Attic. And just like that, that upstairs control is huge. Thinking Nade blows himself up, not exactly where he thought the C4 was going to go. It is good enough to get Slash off of the plant, though. A retake with the Jackal nearby, and Rampy will fire into the smoke, win the gunfight against Vertical, and then head for Classroom.
Still 2 off the board for Space Station. With just under 20 seconds left, they'll need a miracle just like in the very first round. Slash will be lined up to plant, but he needs the call from the rest of his team and proper coverage as he's very low on HP. He will die if anybody from Space Station decides to provoke him in a fight. There he goes. Diffuser going down, coverage from the Zofia, but nobody's looking towards Canadian. He takes out Slash. 1 second left. There's one for Rampy as well, and Bosco comes to the rescue. Space Station are winning these rounds in the final 10 seconds. That's 2 for them. And Oxygen, obviously frustrated, dropping those rounds in the dying seconds.
You know, that's really odd to witness, because what we just saw there was yet again a round that Oxygen should have been able to shore up. They had the control they wanted. They even got a free kill, the team kill. Well, not the team kill, the self-kill on Thinking Nade. Thanks to the smoke, he threw his C4 and it didn't go where he wanted, as you mentioned, Parker. Now, a big part of that, for me, is the time usage from Oxygen. Their time management has not been ideal, but it's also the setup from SSG. We need to give credit where credit is due. You could clearly see there that the top of Freezer Stairs was being used as a long-angle denial spot deep into the site, and it was getting the job done. More importantly, the retake from SSG was not hindered greatly enough by the vertical pressure that Oxygen was putting up. They came upstairs, Oxygen did. They got the control, they opened up the windows, they applied the pressure, and it really amounted to nothing because of the hold that SSG was using. Their off-site B hold, their retake position hold, their we can deny you without actually getting into the fight kind of hold. And I'm surprised that Oxygen went for that B push, knowing that there were 2 mirror windows looking straight towards it. That's the thing that surprises me the most, because there are other options. You know, you don't have to take kitchen. You could take tower attic. You could execute into beating. But none of that came out. None adaptation. They saw the mirror windows. They pushed into the mirror windows. And the retake of those mirror window positions after Oxygen had them from SSG was absolutely flawless. So once again, a nice attempt from Oxygen, I suppose, where they got the control they needed. They just couldn't finalize that execution in time.
Really is staggering to see a team like Oxygen commit that level of error, I would say. It's not even necessarily an outright error because there's no mistakes being made. It's just a lack of proper coordination that you'd figure that they'd have. But teams are still figuring out Oregon, and it's not that it's an excuse, but there's been so little official play on this map that it's quite possible that teams aren't exactly the most comfortable on how to deal with it. And frankly, the way that we've seen now through 2 rounds Space Station play isn't that ordinary. I mean, I think the big thing about looking at Oregon and reviewing footage from Oregon is that with Echo being available, it completely changes which operators are and aren't banned. So it's hard to know exactly what your opponents are going to bring because you can't really effectively counter-strat them or anything if you're playing with a very different landscape, which it is, given that Echo's not in play.
You know, I think personally, I feel like it says a lot about Echo, given how different the game plays without him. But that's a discussion for another time. The bomb site is now the basement here for Space Station, and Oxygen have spent half the round getting control of the top 2 floors, opening up those drop downs, and trying to get control of blue. Now, this is going to be slow, as you guys can see, and that has been the issue for Oxygen on their attacks as of late. Their tardiness to the execution. Luckily for Oxygen, they're not going to have to open up a rotation here. It's made for them. Surprising that there's no late reinforcement from SSG, but considering Maverick's been played by Oxygen every round, it's not too crazy. Biologic gets the initial entry kill onto Canadian, who is playing by Pillar, and that's going to open up Pillar for Oxygen to play now, which should give them some good angles into the site. Rampy will respond, though. Vertical goes down as he attempts to push Pillar. Now, things are looking a lot more even, but the plant attempt here already from Biologic, and it looks like he might be able to get it. He's sticking it, and yes, there it is. It's down. Bosco gets 1 in response, but it's all on Bosco now. He's got to pick up 2 kills with Biologic down. He won't get 1 as Splash will shut him down. The summer edition of Slash Hug, as you like to say, Parker.
I think it's appropriate.
Given
his name. Slash has been mighty fine so far this match. We're only 3 rounds in, and I think that Slash has been the best player on Oxygen so far. Of course, the first round really comes to mind, but changing things up and having Biologic go for the plan amidst that
toxic canister being thrown from Bosco, while the rest of Oxygen just held control of pillars. They didn't really need to focus too much on Freezer. That was where we saw Vertical die to Rampy, and then Rampy immediately pivots and heads towards the Freezer doorway. But unfortunately, the entire back of the bomb site for Space Station was entirely cut off, and Oxygen just won every single engagement when Space Station peaked. That's what it looked like, really, from the perspective I had. And yeah, I mean, you called it tardiness on behalf of Oxygen, and why it took them so long to be able to pull off these executes on these 3 rounds, especially given the fact that Space Station isn't really running a setup that is designed to slow you down. It's designed to bleed out your utility. Obviously, the Mira is going to be crucial in doing that because there aren't very many counters, as you can see on Oxygen's lineup, that deal with the Spanish defender. It's a curious thing for me.
Sorry about that. But the thing that I was going to say was the most shocking thing I'm seeing from SSG is, as you mentioned, they're not setting up to delay, right? They are setting up some really odd angles, opening some walls that you wouldn't expect. It was especially evident on the bottom floor in the last round, where they opened up the rotation to blue, which is common, but they didn't late reinforce it, which is also normal. You would expect that late reinforcement, but not so from Space Station. Further, that small wall that faces towards pillars from B on the bottom floor. Typically, that's reinforced, but Space Station open it to get an aggressive angle. And, you know, you could say that these things will delay the push, and certainly Oxygen needs to consider the angles. You could also argue for the mirror window being a huge factor in the slowness of these attacks. But I don't know if that's substantial enough. You know, maybe it could be something as mundane as Parker mentioned, this is still a map teams are getting used to. Maybe they haven't figured out their drone paths perfectly. That could factor in to how they are, you know, attacking on this map. But whatever the case be, we've got the execution coming in through tower. They're trying to get into attic now. They'll be mavericking the wall, Zophieing it after with that lifeline, getting it with the impact. Once that's done, they have their first prong of the attack. But it's going to be severely blunted as Vertical, one of your typical top performers on Oxygen, is felled early on into this round.
Vertical's really been having a rough game, and he didn't exactly have the standout performance last week either. So for somebody as good as Vertical is, and as important as it is for Oxygen to have him show up, it hasn't exactly been the best 7-day stretch for him. But Canadian trades away that HP, as you pointed out, and is able to remove an operator that would be tasked with getting rid of those evil eyes, providing that Ash was in position to do that. As you can see, the Zofia opened up one portion of the wall, and the next line of sight for Zofia, the next target in line, is going to be Rampy. This defense from Space Station looks exactly the same, or at least as similar as you can get to the previous setup. And I mean, it worked. Yeah, you traded out a couple bodies, but you were able to hold it in the clutch, the dying moments of the round. This time, Space Station wins an opening duel, something that they haven't done so far in this matchup, and sets themselves into a better position to ride out the push from Oxygen.
You look at that, too. The attic wall from Trophy didn't get opened up, and you see Habana's trying to cover Maverick while he opens up the wall. Folt's attempting to stop that. I don't know if, yes, a small hole opened. That might be enough to leverage control of attic away from SSG, but I'm not so sure. As you said, it's Rampy in that position, and he just doesn't miss. Laxing will get Canadian, who was on the roam, so the flank watch is working for Oxygen, but Rampy, again, still alive inside of attic as we hit the last 20 seconds. Thinking Nade will be covering bottom white where Laxing is going, and he gets Laxing as he attempts to push bottom white. There goes Rampy, though, as Slash goes for the entry in attic. The double peek is going to be faced with this shotgun from Bosco, and it's really hard for Bosco to mess this up. It's the gas canister to get Foxay, and with only 5 seconds left, there's no chance for Slash. He'll be felled by Fultz through the Maverick hole that Slash's teammates opened earlier in the round.
Fultz had pushed up from inside of kids' dorms, which I am now going to refer to as bunk, and will never refer to it as kids anything anymore, actually.
It doesn't sound right.
Would like a change.org petition that to be created here to officially change the name for us. I've been fighting this for almost 3.5 years at this point.
Yeah, we've been fighting it for a long time. It's been a problem.
Please, Ubisoft, if you're listening, I beg you to rename it toward like bunks or small bunks or something like that. Anyway, Fultz had pushed up when the call came in because the evil eye cam that was still on the wall. It was on the stone pillar that was facing the back of attic. never got taken out. Why? Because there was a Wamai magnet and 2 ADSs at the bottom of the attic drop, which meant that the Zofia, who was posted up at the back of attic, would have to burn through 5 charges before landing a shot on that Maestro camera. That's partially why you bring the Ash. And it looked like Vertical died over by the back of attic because Canadian pushed through the bottom of garage and then lost the gunfight to Vertical. My speculation, of course, is that Vertical was in that area as the Ash because we didn't actually get to see where the Ash was. But if you've got Nash in that position, well, she's got 2 breaching charges, or breaching rounds, I suppose, and then she's got 3 flashbangs. That's enough to burn the gadgetry from the Jaeger and the Wamai, and it allows that Evil Eye cam to be taken out a little bit easier. But that's just a perfect example of Oxygen not having enough time to change their strategy around. They decided to go hard into attic after the 2 players on their end died pushing up white stairs. They got gunned down and assaulted essentially by the SSG members that were watching that white stairs doorway. Nobody decided to go through or even try to go through the master wall. And they weren't able to get the X-Kairos off onto that one portion of the attic wall where Rampy was sitting. You saw that there was what? There was 2 X-Kairos that went off, I think you made note of?
Yeah, and they got one of the
ultimately,
others.
it wasn't enough. And Oxygen just, they got kind of, it caved in on them and they had nowhere else to go. So they had to hard commit to attic, at which point you've got a smoke with all of his toxic canisters left.
Well assessed there, Parker. Interestingly, some changes in this round. Mirror windows have moved. SSG are no longer playing the off B hold. They're playing the on B hold. They got the mirror window set up to do just that. Slash is now confronting this and going, okay, they're doing things different. We got to account for that. The mirror window that was so useful for SSG that was in meeting is moved. It looks like the one in B is going to get opened up. Now, Thinking Nate still has his security mirror window, so he could still hold this, and if he gets pushed off it, he can fall down into Freezer Hallway and then come up the stairs to still control the site at a long angle. Oxygen has to deal with that, that's for sure. You can see a slight change from Oxygen as well as they opened up the wall in a meeting, though it won't be as useful as I'm sure they were hoping. Foxay has been down, but he is playing, luckily, the one and only operator that can pick herself up, Zofia. So he doesn't need a teammate to rotate and waste time. He can just get right back into the action and continue to open up above his opponents. This would be a very different round if it weren't for that. Bosco's going to incur some damage through that spray. Well-placed shots there from Foxay. Great awareness from him as he puts pressure onto the smoke in sight. The attack is well poised to execute onto the site now as we hit the last 50 seconds, but Thinking Nade will get vertical on the initial entry.
So they're opening duel 1 as Biologic goes for the default plant that we'd seen before from Slash. Foxay on low HP. Bio should be able to pull this one off. Right now it's on Slash to try and hold through, and yes, there you go. Oxygen have been trying to get the diffuser down for so long, and through all these rounds they've been unsuccessful up until now. This is a tougher spot for the retake from Space Station as they still have a numbers advantage, but they're delaying mighty hard. There's already a third of the diffuser that's now gone, and they understand how difficult it's going to be to get this diffuser disabled. There's one member of SSG, and the Nomad turns her back. A crawl from the smoke as best as they can. Still an advantage right now for SSG, but now it's in the hands of Rampy in essentially a 1v2. He's 2 seconds away from being unable to get it, and well, he's dead, so he's definitely unable to get it. Oxygen picks up their second round. They're going to need one more to try to equalize on this first half, and they looked at their best in round number 5.
Great execution there from Oxygen, but really the fault lies at the feet of SSG. They had no information operators to give them the info they needed on that default plant. Now, there was, of course, a Mira, but those windows were dealt with. There was also a bulletproof camera being brought by Castle, but that obviously did not give SSG information. You could tell because of the way they were acting when the plant was going down. They weren't aware. They didn't even try to go for the counter. They didn't try to deny that plant. They went for the retake. And that's not going to work out very well for you considering where that plant went down. As you could see, the attackers just went far afield and played that diffuser from all the way on the far west side of the map. And it worked out great for Oxygen, despite SSG's tenacious retake of the bomb site. So props to SSG. In the post-plant, they did a good job of regaining control of the site. However, I mean, again, that's one of those post-plant scenarios you really don't want to find yourself in as a defender, because just the angles the attackers can play are just too abundant. I also have to give props to Oxygen, though, for applying the pressure that they did to meeting. And yes, SSG did move their mirror windows, but I just love to see that Oxygen are adapting and learning from their past mistakes. And I also love to see that SSG were one step ahead with their mirror window placement. They didn't even put the meeting mirror window down. They knew it was going to get countered. And I don't know, that's just beautiful thinking ahead by Thinking Nade, I guess, since he was playing on the mirror. Anyway, we'll be moving on from that round, which was a very interesting one. I think mostly, again, the lack of information for SSG is what crippled them. To another attempted defense of the very same site. It's that meeting kitchen that SSG seems to love.
The only other option is to go downstairs to laundry and supply room, given the fact that the bunks site upstairs is locked and will be for the remainder, or would have been for the remainder, rather, as this is the very final defense for SSG. They could have gone over to kitchen and dining hall, but no, they decide against it. An opening duel goes in favor of Oxygen on the very final defense for Space Station, and down goes Fultz. His denial from the bandit batteries will likely still be in place, providing that he put them down at all. You have to imagine they would go likely on the dining hall portion, as Canadian is rotating downstairs, but he's got Slash to his left. Does he even know? Oh my, what a play onto Slash. A good night. And he's going to continue to run and find safety over in the basement stairs. Heading now over towards meeting as he's on the run. He gets a kill, and it's a huge one. That's also the diffuser that was in hand for Oxygen that will need to be picked back up. And it's Foxe on the hunt to try to find out if somebody from SSG is still playing in that general area.
I like mint ice cream too, Foxe. It's one of my favorites. Well, the clear from Oxygen has met mixed success so far, as you can tell by that scoreline. The one key thing here is they've lost their hard destructor, their primary hard destructor. They still have Bio, and he's going to be opening up one of the castle barricades into the kitchen. So it seems like Oxygen are going to go for a very similar attack as they did last round. I mean, it's pretty much the same so far. Clear out above and apply pressure. This time the Habana is not going to be able to open up the meeting wall, I think, which might allow for that rotation in through meeting rotate. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, they weren't able to open it up. There's also a bandit battery there, so they wouldn't have been able to anyway. But still, that's going to give SSG more maneuverability, and you can see that that's being used by Bosco. He got a little aggressive there in B, trying to apply pressure to the Maverick who was opening the wall. And he'll fall back. That's the right call. He can play these last 35 seconds with his gas canisters from afar.
It's a powerful position to be in, and he's going to need to time it well to prevent this plant from going off again, as Oxygen know that they need to begin. And it's a sprint in from Vertical. He puts his mark on this round, taking Thinking Nade out of action. You've still got Bosco playing at the back, 17 seconds left, so that last toxic canister should be good coverage as it goes off with just over 10 seconds to go. Biologic going for the plant, though. Might not actually be hitting him, so Bosco's going to have to take this fight, but Canadian there on the flank. Shotgun out. Bosco putting in good work. 2 kills for him alongside Canadian, and Space Station will emerge from their defense of Oregon up 4-2.
Beautiful play there from Bosco. And once again, that long angle from the hallway, I believe from the top of Freezer Stairs, will deny the default plant. And you got to imagine, Parker, at some point, when you failed to plant default on kitchen, the default plant spot must change because it keeps getting denied from the top of Freezer. So it's clearly a pretty easy angle for the defense to play. If you're going to plant there, you need to control that angle or just try planting somewhere else. Unfortunately, in kitchen, there's not a lot of cover. The options are pretty sparse. So it's not an easy plant no matter how you look at it. But that's the easiest pre-fire of anyone's career if they know you're planting there. Either which way about it, though, that is the round in the bag for SSG. Well done to them. Once again, bleeding the time away, denying the plan on that long angle. Oxygen, 2 attack rounds, and they'll switch over to defense. Now, keep in mind, this is Oxygen's map pick. This is where they wanted to go. So if they're not able to take this one, things are looking a little bit scary. Consulate, our second maps picked by SSG, has been banned by SSG in previous matches. They don't like going to Consulate, as is evident by their ban phase in recent history. However, I am going to speculate that that is just SSG, probably Lycan, who have been hiding that map, waiting for an opportunity to use it, because keep in mind, the stakes are pretty high here today. This is who's finishing first out of our group. Who's going in the comfort spot, going for Group A in Stage 2. And that's quite a lot on the line. So I'm imagining that Space Station are just bringing out every single thing that they can to take this win, and they were probably practicing Consulate and waiting for this moment here. We also saw some interesting ban. That theme park ban was really weird. Because, again, well, I don't know. It wasn't weird, actually. I think it was Oxygen who banned it, so never mind. I was about to say, because SSG have been pretty good on it. But either which way about it, as I said, this is a really big map for Oxygen. They need to take this win here, or it's going to be desperate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what exactly happens and how Consulate plays out. I think things going according to plan on Oregon, though, given the fact that you're anticipating a team to come out ahead on defense every time a new map is added, and I do classify Oregon as new, even though it is a remake of an older map, the defense tends to do quite well at the start, as the attackers have a bit of a hurdle to get over. So in this instance, yeah, 4-2 scoreline, pretty normal.
Vertical going to be holding on to blue with Slash to support. He's got those gas canisters he can throw out when it's necessary. There's going to be a main lobby drop down getting opened on up. That's big, as that'll allow some pressure onto the A bomb site. They'll also open up the box drop. Oxygen now, as you can see, in a thin line in the middle of the site. They'll have to maneuver reacting to what their opponents do. Clash will be big when a freezer push comes. If a freezer push comes, you'll be able to slow them down quite a lot.
You see, they all moved in complete synchronization as they vacated the freezer play that was being held by the Clash, so they fall off as much as they humanly can, and it was great to see all of that happen. This Clash that you noted that's going to be hugely effective is under some significant pressure now, as Rampy will drone himself in and see Foxay. Does he have a supporting cast nearby, or is Foxay going to be playing to stall time and then possibly even die out? That's the real question.
Well, there's no Zofia, so it's going to be pretty easy for Foxay to survive here. He's got to be worried about the nades, of course, but it's actually Bio who gets hit by the nade. That's the player trying to support the Clash, so that's going to be pretty important when it comes to that actual push into the freezer. Here comes what I believe to be a denial, the gas canister. Yeah, on the bottom of main stairs, that'll slow things down considerably.
Maverick waiting to push on up. Has Bio been rescued? Yes, he has. Fultz goes down, thinking nade goes down, and right now Oxygen taking full advantage of this. And a major struggle with only 10 seconds left. It's going to leave Rampy in a 1v4, make it a 1v3 quite quickly, but he's got 10 seconds. That's the harder task, and he won't be able to make it out of freezer. He gets stopped in his tracks, and Oxygen will take their very first defense. That Clash play inside of freezer is able to quarterback and enable this entire collapse from Oxygen as SSG funnels into their death.
Yeah, you could see that the job Rampy had there was to apply pressure to the sides, or the flanks, I guess I should say, of Oxygen, or rather, of Oxygen. He was trying to put pressure on the defense so that the push in through the main lobby could be effective. But because he was slowed down so substantially by the Clash, it just never happened. Or rather, it happened too late, as he got the only kill for his team. Rampy got the only kill for his team from freezer, but at that point, it just didn't matter. It wouldn't affect the outcome of the round. Well played to Oxygen, and the Clash in particular, for holding on to that freezer and slowing down the push as substantially as they did, as well as not losing their patience on the actual anchor in the site.
So we now transition upstairs towards kids' dorms, as we've renamed it bunks. This is the hill that I choose to die on.
No, I'm with you there, Parker.
We will die on this hill together, Michael.
Yep.
And anybody else that would like to, remember, feel free to join us as we fight to get this site renamed.
If you're confused as to why it shouldn't be called kids, just kind of like imagine any phrase you're gonna utter in regards to like competitive siege, and then kids is the call out. It's just it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I mean, even if you can see it right now, it looks like the bunks are even smaller, so it makes sense. Thank you. They look like smaller bunks. Just call it small bunks. There you go.
Yeah, that's true.
Or just call it bunks, period.
Bunks. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Either way,
This is a tangent for every time we play on Oregon.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have that conversation every single time until they eventually change it. But the setup on top floor is evident of one thing. So far from Oxygen, they've brought us to the more common sites on Oregon. SSG was bringing us to that kitchen meeting, and that seemed to be one of their primary bomb sites. They wanted to go there the most, but not so for Oxygen. And to me, that tells me, or that says that Space Station were very prepared for this map. They looked well practiced here. They looked comfortable. And I mean, while Oxygen has also proven to be the same, the upset factor, the surprise factor, I guess, that Oxygen may have been hoping for with Oregon, obviously is not here.
Well, this is a rotate coming out from SSG. So they obviously, they're making the same call, at least on Defaults' position, as he'll post up onto the big window and try to burn any ADSs or magnets that might be in play, and then just immediately goes right back inside. Okay, so there was very clearly a reason to try and clear all of that out, and I wonder if anything has to do with Rampy being in his position, especially if they are aware of Bio at the top of White Stairs, which they are. They let him just stay there as Rampy will now head towards the roof. Presumably, both of those frag grenades are still in the pocket of Rampy, and they can do some significant damage.
This is a good angle here from Rampy. He can make sure the Clash is not looking the right way when the push comes in from Trophy. You can see Bosco doing that push right now. He wants to get the flank of the Clash, but he's cautious of pressure being applied from the player at main window. Clash will adjust. That's smart there from Clash, as he's not exposed to the game's repel any longer. You can see Oxygen adjusting their setup ever so slightly to account for how SSG is pushing this right now. SSG has to be worried, though, of running out of time, and ooh, that's big. As the wall gets opened up into games, the time becomes less of a factor for SSG because they have one more angle to play against this Clash, who has decided to push into Trophy in an attempt to avoid getting flanked. They'll fall back, though, to hold the site when the push comes out.
Just watching that breach as the Clash is immobile. One of those grenades that was cleared out earlier on so Rampies could sail on in, find Slash, and then the Clash, with her back turned, isn't able to do all that much. Fultz goes in for the play on the Clash, but thank goodness for Vertical there. He's not long for the earth. As Rampy gets one, Bosco adds to it, and it's Bio and Laxing trying to hold down the remainder of Space Station. Canadian gets the diffuser down, and it's a trade out. 2 kills from Laxing, but then he's removed from action, leaving it all on the shoulders of the Clash. Shield on her back, SMG out, Bosco and Canadian just simply watching onto that diffuser, with Space Station looking to go up. They'd lost the previous round. Well, they have an opportunity to maybe give themselves that same breathing room. Biologic going for the defuse, and Canadian shoots right around it. Jackal doesn't even need to come too close, and Space Station takes round number 8.
I almost thought for a second maybe the shield would be able to give full enough coverage, but the angle just wasn't there. Canadian could see the head above, and we'll take the round. Great execution there from SSG. I love that their attack seemed to be coming from Master for the majority of that round. They were applying a lot of were putting a lot on Trophy and Master control. They got the wall open in 2 games. That's big. That allows for the pinch. That forces your Clash to adjust somewhat. But after that, SSG surprised Oxygen, and myself as well, with an explosive take through the big window. I think 3 players vaulted big window to get control of the bunks and then get that plant down next to the reinforcement. That worked out great for Space Station, and a big part of that was the way that they distracted Oxygen on the Master side. You could tell that Oxygen had placed most of their presence to repel that Master push. It just wasn't a Master push in the end. So, again, well played from SSG. Props to them.
So OXG is going to try it again, and I was going to raise a question of when we were going to see an operator like Zofia be brought out if the Clash ended up being a huge issue for Space Station, but they were able to double up on Bio, pushed him back in towards Attic. Vertical was the one to cover, but then they very smartly took out everybody that came to the defense of the Clash instead. It's almost the same strategy that teams will do with a Montane when you see a Monty in a 1v2 or a 1v3. Obviously, as a shield operator, he excels in 1v1s, but Clash has a lot more counters, and Oxygen deciding to drop the operator and go with a, more gunplay. And I don't think that's the wrong call to make. They instead will bring in this Kaid, and we have seen how you can use a Kaid towards the back of Attic, and you can see how you can use it as well over by Sofa on the wall where the bandit batteries will likely go. This is going to be a greater challenge for SSG. Even though they have brought the Zofia, they'll have to make sure that they get rid of any charges, claws, etc. from down below. That is, of course, if Rampy doesn't just cut through the wall, which is exactly what he's doing in back tower and what you'd expect a Maverick to do in this particular instance.
Well, Maverick, in this case, will open up that wall. So there you go. Attic done. Just going to take him a few seconds. We know that Rampy is very good at opening up walls like this. Well practiced. And there you go. Job done. Faults will open it up with an impact now as the wall has been rendered soft. For those of you who don't know, Maverick can cut through those reinforced walls, but he can't fully break the soft walls. The panel needs to be broken by a soft destructor. In this case, it's the impact that Faults has mentioned earlier. So it's a little bit of a nice combo that we see played out. It's a common one to circumvent the denial that you see from Bandit batteries, mute jammers, or high electric cause. Of course, in this match, mute is banned.
Mute ban was huge as well from OXG, and I mean, when you have a team that bans an operator like that, they know how to play around it. So, I mean, it's unsurprising that they would bring the double breach denial here, because obviously they knew that a Kaid and a Bandit would be needed if they couldn't as freely use that mute. But anyway, we look towards exactly what's happening inside of Attic, and it's very similar to SSG's first defense. You've got the Wamai playing with the ADSs, but it actually looks like all those ADSs have been moved farther back, which means that it gives a false sense of security for SSG, but I'm sure that they've droned it out. So if they haven't, they're now going to get an even better opportunity as Rampy goes for the drone work to try and figure out the position of the Wamai.
Now, we can tell, because we have the top down, that this is an execution from Master, but SSG has opened up all of the angles to try and keep their opponents thinking, try and make it not obvious. Rampy is going to be a high-pressure player here, as he's the only one pushing from Attic. If he can get a pick from there and get control of Attic, he will sway the round for his team. But SSG has to be careful. There's only 20 seconds left. There's that pick from Rampy, a second one for him. That's big. Canadian on the entry also gets Biologic, and he'll start going for the plant. The attempted denial from Oxygen gets one player, but that's it. C4 will miss, and that is crucial. As the plant goes down, Canadian will run to freedom. Trophy, where he'll hold in the post plant, laxing the last one alive, and he goes down on white stairs. A flawless round from SSG and a beautiful execution.
Rampy's two-piece inside of Attic was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. The first pick and then the immediate flick as well as Wamai's attention was elsewhere. Oh, a thing of beauty, and you love to see it. As you pointed out, it was a play from over towards Master. We got a good perspective of that. The only person from SSG who wasn't with the actual push was Rampy, and if he loses his gunfights in Attic, if he gives his position away, the only thing that he accomplishes is killing 10 to 15 seconds of time at most and distracting the defenders. They are then free to immediately reposition and go after the plant that's happening. And that's what OXG tried to do. The problem was they didn't anticipate finding themselves down by 2 in Attic. That was really a gunfight that Oxygen could have very easily won. It was Vertical that was playing on the deployable shield. Rampy pushes in. And OXG, they were not quick enough to respond. Once again, it looks like it falls somewhat on communication. I don't know if OXG are able to quickly relay what's happening, or if the shot calling from OXG isn't strong enough. But there have been a couple rounds now where Oxygen have either had an advantage or have had a superior setup on the surface and then not been able to pull it off. And though it's a 6-3 for Space Station, this really has been a much closer map so far than the scoreline would suggest. It's been OXG relinquishing control of these rounds in the dying seconds. It happened when they were on attack, and it's repeating itself again on both round 8 and round 9, which is what allows Space Station to sit on match point.
The thing that was crucial for me in that last round, I just have to make note of, was that missed C4 from below. That, I mean, we were on like, what, 5 seconds left? That could have won the round. It's hard to see, to be honest. It was just a little bit off, too.
That could have been a very easy 3-piece.
Yeah.
Because you had one member of SSG downed, and then Canadian going for the plant, and the other member of SSG looked like they were trying to get up the downed player. That doesn't miss. That's the round right there as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's disheartening, but sometimes that just does happen. Space Station, match point, as a result. I mean, well, obviously there's more factors than just that C4, of course. But here we are. We've got to see if Oxygen can start that rollback. I'm not seeing it, though. Space Station's executions especially have looked just absolutely lethal. It's honestly kind of scary to watch because you'd expect Oxygen to be taking some of these defensive rounds. Typically when a new map comes out, and let's make no mistake, this is still a new map, even if it's a rework. When a new map comes out, you're going to have a period of time where the attackers are going to struggle, where it'll be defender-sided by default, just because it's so fresh. Now, this is a tricky C4 for Bio, and he'll miss it. And no C4 for Bio anymore. So, yep.
Yeah, I like that you prefaced it by talking about how hard that is to throw.
Yeah.
You've got, it's the difference of a couple pixels to make that happen. And, you know, it's something Rampy has this in his mind, be wary of, because you could see he kept getting up and repositioning, not just because of where the blowtorch was, but also because he's afraid of getting blown sky high.
And he got out nice and safe because of his caution, but also slow pacing here for Space Station. They haven't gotten control of blue. There's 40 seconds left. Something needs to be done for Space Station to take this round. They've got to be worried at this point of their odds of taking the attack onto the bottom floor. Now, keep in mind, that's an attack onto the bottom floor. Oxygen could just win this, but it might not change the outcome of the match, given how much of an advantage Space Station has in the round count.
Fox had moved over to Freezer just to try and cover on Biologic, and Slash starts things off on the Canadian. The time only at 15 seconds left, and the pressure will be felt on the shoulders of Space Station. They have this match on the line, and they've got plenty of opportunity to do lots of damage, just as Rampy will. He's been good, but he gets taken out by Bio, who's better in this instance. Full advantage for Oxygen, and there you go. They dominate the kill feed. This isn't going to be an easy one for SSG to put away just yet. There's still 2 more rounds for Space Station to steal Oxygen's map, but it's not going to happen here and now on Laundry Supply.
That was a really awkward round. We saw Space Station, as they like to do, apply pressure to all of the different lanes. They didn't get control of blue, though, and they opted for a Freezer main lobby take, which just didn't accomplish anything. It's a strange push as they all got gunned down as they entered into their respective bottlenecks. And that's the story. That's the round. Great job to Oxygen, holding out, being patient, and not giving up on their positions, as every single player on Oxygen presented a hurdle to SSG that they could not jump over. So, yeah, good patience, Oxygen, and I'm honestly a little bit disappointed in what we saw from SSG when it comes to their ability to pick off players in the site, or rather even to open up angles that could deny positions to Oxygen. There just wasn't enough control established from Space Station. That attack onto the bottom floor needs some work. However, as I stated earlier, now Oxygen won't get to go back to the bottom floor until the final rounds of this second half. So, I mean, it might not be enough for Oxygen.
It's tricky to have to keep this match on the line, knowing that you can't go back to Laundry Supply Room. You don't have an opportunity to do that. You have to go to a bomb site that you haven't defended yet. That's rough. And if meeting fails, do you go for meeting a second time, or do you go back upstairs to bunks where you've lost twice? And not just lost twice, the diffuser got planted both times from Space Station, you surrendered the opening pick both times to Space Station, and one of them was a flawless round. So I honestly don't know what I would do if I was Oxygen in this particular instance, because you don't really have many good options left.
Yeah, it's certainly feeling a lot like SSG in control. That last round, though, I mean, that last round instilled some confidence in me for Oxygen. Because they did, I mean, as much as it was a lot of mistakes made by SSG, it was also well played to Oxygen for taking that round. They did a really great job of holding that out. So, no, it's not the end of the world yet. It's just, it's not looking good. That's all. Now, Laxane's going to be getting a lot of information using his heartbeat detector over by security. I love this. 2 players called out, and thus the push, he can establish that, okay, yeah, they're going to try and take from cafeteria, from dining, whatever you want to call it, mess hall. And he'll call that out for his squad. Meanwhile, the top floor clear is the main focus for SSG in this round right now. They want to get Slash, Fox 8, and Vertical, who are all above.
This heavy upstairs presence from OXG is reminiscent of what we saw from Space Station, or rather, sorry, reminiscent from OXG when they were on attack against Space Station, with Fox 8 being perched up above. So OXG knows that this vertical play is so crucial, as they used it really well to their advantage when they were on attack, and they are wary of falling victim to the exact same thing. A lot of pressure put onto Fox Ace. He gets stunned inside of Attic and just nimbly avoids a frag grenade that lands at his feet. He's got the backing of Slash. He's also got an ability to drop. He'll get droned out and has to be very mindful of where he's going to get pushed from. Sees one on an engagement, he'll win the fight against the Zofia and also dance around a frag grenade, but he gets taken out as Bosco and Rampy come alive. One from Oxygen as well will put us back to a 3v3. So a very quick burst of action, leaving us with about a minute to play. Both of these teams at the same HP, barring Rampy down at about 30.
I don't know if Rampy's going to be able to do a whole lot here. As you can see, he's wary of Vertical, who's playing inside of Attic. Vertical at any moment could spring into action and take out the very low HP Rampy, who's been having an amazing match so far. 13 kills. So if he can win that engagement upstairs, that'll make all the difference. But with only 20 seconds left, Canadian's trying to go for the play, and there is Rampy getting the kill. That's huge. He's going to be able to cover his teammates on the plant now. Biologic will stop the first plant attempt. Canadian goes down. Thinking Nade will have to substitute in. Rampy has to cover even more now, and here comes that last attempt, as there's no time left to fail. It's all on Rampy's shoulders. He's been putting it up this round. He'll continue to do so somewhat as he lets the plant get down. Thinking Nade with the follow-up. He'll get laxing. So it's Biologic in the 1v1 versus Thinking Nade with diffuser planted. He's got the shotgun. This will one-shot Thinking Nade at a close enough range, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Thinking Nade has gotten pretty far away. Playing this smart. Biologic doesn't know. He's got a peek blind. Tracers will give away the Nomad's position, though, and that's crucial. Here comes another peek. Biologic continuing to peek away, and he'll get it! Incredible! What range from Biologic on the shotgun! He'll pick up his 3rd kill for the round, and he has just barely enough time to disable that diffuser.
He got killed by Mr. Fantastic there with the stretch arms, as it's just a hand and a barrel of a shotgun. Nothing else for Thinking Nade to bother to hit at. That came too close for comfort if I'm OXG. They managed to make it work at the very finals, and Bio plays that so well, just jiggle peeking around the opening in the wall and doing enough damage of that buckshot to down the Nomad. It took 3 shots, was that correct?
Yeah.
Before you did enough damage. Honestly, that was tough for Space Station. At the start, Rampy could have very easily gone down to that fight on Vertical, doesn't see it, he goes off, Thinking Nade at least is able to take out Laxing, and then it comes down to the 30 agonizing seconds for whomever was watching. And a successful defense of meeting for OXG that really wasn't even a strategic benefit. It was just the way that Bio played that entire round, to me, very impressive. Tosses out the smokes, wastes a lot of time. Falls back, another smoke goes out, decides to take matters into his own hand, kills the diffuser, and then the diffuser goes down, continues to fall back, last smoke goes out, plays inside a meeting hall, and he ends up getting the kill onto Rampy too. Bio was the hero of that round. And with it, we now have 12 rounds. So the only win condition for Oxygen at this point is to go to overtime. They'll be starting on defense. So they're pretty warmed up as they've now had 5 rounds on defense. This is their 6th. And it's upstairs to the one bomb site that Oxygen has dropped both times they've played it so far.
It's for all the marbles, though. I mean, we're getting close to that OT. And Oxygen have got to be feeling at least some confidence here, as they've managed to, I'd say, keep the dream alive. That last round in particular, I don't know if you could hear it in my voice, Parker, but I really just did not expect Bio to land like enough shotgun pellets to kill someone at that range. Especially a prone target, I was thinking there's no way. So, I mean, I didn't expect it, and it happened anyway. Oxygen have been bringing out a lot of those rounds, so there's potential here. There's a chance, okay? And I think for Oxygen, that's all that matters. They've shown up many of these times. Can I just say real quick how much I like the diamond SSG charm combo. The diamond skin SSG charm. It just looks so clean. You can see on the R4C there. I never liked the diamond skin, and yet it works with that charm so well.
Did you see the amethyst bolo combo that's being run?
That is oof, so clean.
I'm gonna say this. It's yet more people that are running the bolo charm. I think it's a conspiracy. I think Bolo is paying people to run his charm.
Oh my gosh. You don't
Bolo
wow.
will need to confirm nor deny that allegation because I'm putting it out there. I'm saying, Bolo, answer the call. Are you paying people to run your charm? Because it's out of hand how many people are using it.
It's like, it's just making waves. It's everywhere. And my running theory is maybe people just want to show respect, but I don't know. It does seem crazy when I say it out loud.
Well, didn't Dark Zero even memed about it earlier today?
Did they?
They put Dark Zero's social media has been steadily improving. I will say this to them.
10 out of 10.
Ever since they took Bacon off the Twitter account, it has gotten miles better. And basically what happened was somebody on Twitch chat, oh, I haven't lost a game yet since putting on the Bolo charm, and Dark Zero posted every single member of Dark Zero purchasing the charm or subbing to Bolo so that they won't lose either. But this is a conversation that we can have in the downtime though, because there's a minute left, Michael, and nobody is dead. Walls opened up, pressure from Attic likely to come soon, and a lot of it is going to be Vertical trying to hang on. But there goes the smoke of Slash, punished by Fultz. He's over by Trophy. Both the Clash as well as the Wamai playing inside Attic. They haven't opened up the wall, and you might end up having to fight your way out if you're Vertical.
He's got a very important position here. He needs to apply pressure to the breach as well as hold that push in from Trophy, and it's not easy to do. Here comes the push. Canadian makes the cross. Will there be a C4 this time to deny? No, it's actually Vertical who does land his shots from Attic. He'll whip up the pistol before deciding to go for a reload, and SSG now don't have a lot of momentum as we hit the last 15 seconds. Bio's got the SMG out. He's not even pretending to try and delay anymore with that shield. Bosco going for the plant, but he'll get off of it for some reason, and that's going to mean he won't stick it. He'll have to try it again with only Fultz to cover, and he's gone! Just like that, it's all on Bosco, and he'll be eliminated by Laxing. Oxygen, second time's the charm as they try to hold this top floor. They don't need a C4 this time. They are just gunning. Get smoked, says Biologic, as we head to overtime.
Now, there were two separate instances where the diffuser, the person who was carrying the diffuser, fell off. I don't know, do you think they were worried about a C4, just trying to bait it out? Because Canadian was on the diffuse, he got about halfway through, he hops off. Bosco goes onto the diffuse, he gets halfway through, then he hops off. It must have been that they were worried about a possible blind spot or getting C4'd. I really can't see another reason for why they would bother to do that.
Yeah, and the C4 logic doesn't make sense either, right? Because they got off the plant and then just stood there. So they would die to it anyway, so it must be the blind spot. You were talking about communication earlier, Parker. I think you're talking about Oxygen's communication when it came to the plant, right? On Kitchen. And I would say that was the problem this time for SSG, because they clearly weren't communicating what they had covered, and thus there were a lot of overextensions. There was a lot of attempted plants, and then off the plant, it was awkward.
As awkward as that silence was?
You know what? Sometimes a little bit of silence.
I'm just kidding.
No, I know what you meant.
But I'm honestly, what an improbable comeback from Oxygen. Down 6-3 and they complete a perfect cycle on Laundry down below, meeting on the first floor and bunks upstairs. And they do it on 2 bomb sites that they hadn't won up to that point. Laundry Supply Room was an easy victory on the very first defensive round, round number 7. It looked like Space Station stalled out. They couldn't push in through Bunker. They couldn't push in through Freezer. They struggled really hard. Once again, the clash was incredibly impactful, and then Oxygen just fell back, and, well, there was no way out except for the single doorways, and you just hold those fires and beat them to the punch every time they try to provoke a fight, which is what Oxygen did in the final 20 seconds of their very first time defending this bomb site. They go back to Laundry Supply Room, they win. But then Meeting and Bunks come out as victories as well. I had some choice words about communication earlier on, and maybe it's SSG that fell apart on that front, but Oxygen they woke up. frankly, they woke up and they stopped committing mistakes and they started working really well as a team. Vertical came alive in terms of getting on the scoreboard. Bio did the same thing. And since then, this entire team effort of Oxygen has been proving to be way too challenging for Space Station to beat.
Also, take a look at Slash. 12 kills on the man. You gotta love to see that. Slash has never been that player that always like stands out in the fragging department. He has his moments, of course, but he's always been that rock solid teammate that's always going to get the job done, that's filling in the role that his team needs at the time. And, you know, having him be the top performer right now for Oxygen, I mean, that says a lot about him and his long journey in competitive Rainbow Six, really coming to a comfortable place where he is. You love to see it. Now, it's not unrivaled, of course. Rampy with 14. He has just been alive and well in this match, really showing the world what for. As he continues to win engagement after engagement. He's been the reason they've won a lot of rounds. A push from Foxay, though, will net one. He's ready for the second, though? No, actually, I thought he might have been, but Canadian will get him on the push. So good job there for Canadian, not letting that one linger in the advantage for Oxygen for too long.
No way was happy getting pushed like that, but well played by Fox. He gets double droned out, knows that something is coming, is the way that SSG plays. They're quick to act on that, and then, well, as the utility falls around him, he decides to take up a bit more ground. Down goes Canadian, and so does the diffuser inside a freezer. Rampy finds laxing, but more detrimental, of course, was the death from SSG. So still OXG in much better position, and they just need to smoke out the corpse of Canadian, as there goes one of the toxic canisters from Slash. He's got one left, and given that there's 40 seconds on the clock here, there will be some downtime where SSG will be able to go grab it. It looked like they were going to push from the front of Laundry, but we can tell that they move away. Flash is narrowly avoided by Slash. And yes, it is a very, very late swap up. Two members of SSG over towards Freezer, and Rampy will head over towards Bunker. But will Oxygen be aware of this? In position is Slash. He's been great so far through the clutch. And SSG, well, they get buried alive inside of Freezer. Rampy on the flank, but he's not going to be able to get past Slash, who, you said his name earlier. He is a hell of a round. And for the very first time in this matchup, with one round possibly to go, Oxygen takes the lead.
What a beautiful hold in Freezer there from Slash. And he did it as an adaptation, too. Slash's original plan was to hold from the hallway where he had a shield to deny the push in through Freezer on a long angle where he can smoke as well. But his shield got naded from the main lobby because there was no Jaeger ADS nor a Wamai disc to protect it. And then following that, Slash adjusts, rotates Freezer, and still holds firm in that position. A beautiful job from him on smoke. And that's despite those well-placed flashes we saw coming in from the Ash. Or not the Ash, actually. He was dead. Speaking of, can we talk about Vertical? I don't know. Sorry, not Vertical. Fultz's performance on the Ash in that last round. He just didn't get anything done. Yeah, you're right. He got pushed on a weird angle from Fox, but still, they really needed that Ash there to apply the pressure that they were trying to apply from Freezer. It just didn't happen. The manpower being whittled away from SSG on their push really was the overall, I think, the underlying culprit to the result there, and why Oxygen were able to hold it out in the end. That, and of course, Slash's efforts.
He often flies under the radar in terms of the contributions that he adds to a team. I have long considered him to be one of the most underrated players in North America, and I know that that's a thought that you would likely echo. I don't know. I don't know exactly where I'd place him in the grand scheme of the region, but you know, Slash is able to play those flex roles. He's been kind of sidelined to the retirement home of support operators lately, and he's been thriving and excelling in that spot. You know, I remember the very first match that we saw, that I ever casted of Slash, was on Oregon, back on that old Rogue roster that King George was on, and it was the Slash Eclipse roaming duo that we used to talk about all the time, and how formidable they were, and how crucial they were as well for Rogue's success. And now Slash has changed roles, communicates well, he plays well, and he's excelling right now. And it's a huge part of why Oxygen have the lead. Now, if you're Oxygen, you're going to need more out of Slash on this round, as Foxay's entry is very quickly denied by Canadian, and Space Station finds themselves with the opening pick, and with it, the buck gone. Now, knowing the way that Oxygen will be playing that buck, you expect him to be somewhere down below, maybe causing some havoc, or even over towards the attic side of things. In this case, all we can do is speculate, as we won't actually get to see any of it given Fox A's early death.
Yeah, that early kill to me is screaming 7-7 as SSG looked well set up. The only thing that could result in a change up there is Oxygen have control of white stairs, and they got control of white stairs real quick. The pressure that they can put up from white stairs, the work they can do from this spot is pretty substantial, and it will change how the defense can hold their own bomb site. Right now, it hasn't really accomplished anything, but there's time for change on that. You can see that they've got to rotate over to the main window by one of the Oxygen players. Nades coming in. Fultz is going to shrug that one off. But the push from White Stairs goes unreacted to. Fultz was expecting his teammate to cover. And yes, there's a refrag, but that's the Maestro gone. That's a big kill. Thinking Nade also goes down to Laxing. A substantial frag as well. As Oxygen are starting to somehow pick kills out of seemingly thin air. Air jab detonates. Canadian's position got given away. They'll know exactly where that air jab is. They'll rotate for it, but Slash misses the shot. What a reaction from Canadian as he absolutely dumpsters Slash, the top fragger for Oxygen.
I think Bio at best a couple rounds ago get smoked. What a play, and no world in which Canadian should have won that fight. That right there is a gunfight that can change the tide of the entire round. Not only do you remove who's been the most consistent player from Oxygen so far, but also an operator who can do an extensive amount of damage on this bomb site. It gives SSG an advantage in numbers as well, looking through the run of this round. And yeah, you called it. It looks like it's going to be a 7-7. Still struggling to clear out the ADSs. It's time for OXG to push, and will it be towards their doom? Hesitation on the hands of Laxing. SSG's not going to give them an inch. Canadian a triple kill. He's looking for his fourth. He'll go up against Laxing, who fires into Attic. He takes a rampy, what a flick, but only 1 second left. Diffuser nowhere nearby. We're going all the way. 15 rounds between Oxygen and Space Station as it's tied 7-7.
Canadian really putting up the numbers this match too. I mean, okay, all right. So I don't know if they saw the community vote or what's going on here, because we're seeing today just insane performances from particular players in both teams, and not always the players that you expect to be the ones performing. And the community poll was, who's going to be the top fragger for the series as a whole? And we still don't know. It's not even close to being definitive, because we've got a couple people on both squads who are putting up those numbers right now. And this has been a crazy series, and we're only map 1 right now. So still plenty of time when we get to map number 2 for this to be just as crazy. I expect if SSG wins this, though, I don't know if we're going to get to a map number 3, and I'm a little bit worried about that, Parker.
Villa would be interesting to watch between these two teams because of how strategic a map it tends to be. In terms of both of them, the old Rec squad, which is what we can go off of, performance on Villa, has always been fine. But I mean, I don't have all the stats in front of me for that map in particular, so I know that there's going to be somebody who's like, actually, OXG has a better record in the long run. I would say honestly that given the way that they're playing today, and just in terms of strategy, SSG would probably have that advantage, but I don't really know. Honestly, I didn't expect Oregon to be this close. I thought it would be a close matchup, but not 15 rounds of goodness close. So, I mean, it doesn't worry me, by the way. It doesn't worry me that we are at a 7-7 because I'm enjoying seeing these teams play.
Yeah.
And I know that we got a lot of good Siege tonight because we have Dark Zero versus TSM up next, and that is going to be... Frankly, I'm kind of glad I get to watch that match because I am excited to see what happens.
Yeah, as a spectator, that one's going to be fun for sure. I mean, just for everyone involved, I imagine. No shots landed there for Laxing, though he tried. It will give away his position, but of course he would have been droned out anyway, so... it doesn't matter. Laxing's got to prioritize his life in this scenario. He needs to get out without dying, but he's got Vertical up in T3, trying to support him to the best of his ability. Stuns going on. Vertical will be full blind. The attack, of course, cannot know that. Still plenty of information being called out here from Laxing. That's 3 players he's detected, and he will call that to Vertical, who will react accordingly. Ash charge to try and push Vertical off. That'll actually get one of the drones. Vertical saw it anyway, so it would have gone, but still. The hole opened up inside of T3, and that's going to limit the options Vertical has for positioning. You can see that.
You suspect these will be one of the rounds where we have the classic overthinking, and it's agonizingly slow when the match is on the line. This tends to happen quite a lot. I do like this change from OXG to put Vertical up top. He gets droned out very slightly. He's being supported by Laxing down below, and this is a strong spot for Vert to be in. There he loses a bunch of HP, and there's another frag grenade ready, and this one might actually get him, but wrong corner. That is not exactly where you want to be. An explosion down below and Vertical on the run, but he gets finished off by Rampy, trying to coax Laxing out of his hole at the bottom of the stairs, but no, Laxing realizes that the jig is up, and with a minute left, he needs to get towards the site to help if SSG quickly pivots and goes for a plant.
2 minutes, Parker. Vertical just wasted 2 minutes. I gotta imagine the comms with something like this. Guys, I'm not getting the kills right now. Give me Doc, put me in T3, I'll do my job. And Vertical certainly did. He didn't get any kills, but that does not matter. Now there's only 40 seconds for the attack to execute on the site. And what have they done to set up for a site execution? Basically nothing. So if this comes down to an absolute brawl, Oxygen are in an ideal position to win it. The exothermic charge is going to get opened up on the wall, or will open up the wall, rather. So at least there's that going for SSG. Vault's going for a flank in the main lobby, but he's got a flank of his own. There's Foxay in the main lobby to keep him company, and he'll get that kill. Now it's the push into meeting with the last 10 seconds, but the Oxygen team is really putting up the kills as it's all on Rampy. And there he goes. The last kill. Oxygen will take the map, and it's good halves in the chat. We'll go to map number 2 of this series with an explosive end for the defense.
You can obviously see the elation coming in from OXG. They were not favorites on this map. If you looked at the scoreline, it was all firmly in the favor of Space Station, and OXG claws it back, putting up an impressive 5 wins on the final 6 rounds. That is an incredible run for any team to go off of, and obviously it was aided somewhat by the sides as well. Those 5 victories from Oxygen all came on defense, given the way that overtime works. But there's lots to go through, especially on that matchup, and we're in capable hands with the analysts. But first, let's go to a break before we hear what they have to say.
Welcome back. I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Veli and Jesse. 15 rounds. Oxygen winning in overtime. Map 1 against SSG 8-7. Gentlemen, that was a map. Got a lot I want to talk to y'all about. Okay, I really want to discuss OXG's time management. Laxing and Vertical's roam in that last round, I mean, that was absurd, but also SSG's defense setup. Jesse, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot in that game that we really needed to go over, but like starting with the time management, I thought both teams did a good job of wasting time on defense, particularly like in that last round we saw with the tower hold, which was really, really strong. Laxing and Vert working together 2 minutes off the clock. That basically won them round 15 right there. It was almost impossible for Space Station to take that one back. Then you can talk about even earlier in that matchup when Space Station were on the defense. It really was a lot of just like they were holding these positions and Oxygen just weren't finding a lot of time to like root them out of these positions, or when they got down to that last second push, they tried to get that diffuser down. Things were so hectic and the comms were so bad that it just wasn't really working out for Oxygen. So time management was a big deal for both these teams here.
And Veli, I know you were talking about SSG's defense setup a lot while we were watching this.
Yeah, SSG's defense was pretty well. I really love what they did in Attic. Now, for those of you that caught on to it or you're just tuning in, their Attic setup was so intricate and just amazing. There was no way Oxygen was able to push through and do what they wanted to do. But why? You had a Maestro cam on the wall looking straight towards Attic, 2 ADSs right under it. You had a Toxic Babe on the top of Attic. And not to mention, Maya's right there behind the shield waiting for anyone to try to push out. It was basically no man's land. But the thing is, Slash and the rest of Oxygen, they found a way to counter that. And I want to give a lot of credit to Slash. He was the standout performer, 17 kills, you see it on the screen. When he was able to go through Closet, get a 3K on Canadian, he got it on the Wamai player, and also on Foltz, who was Maestro. He almost single-handedly won Oxygen around. It was just unfortunate that Thinking Aid was right there to stop them all.
Yeah, and I want to say, with regards to Space Station's defense, I think it was kind of a perfect test for a team like Oxygen, who are trying to work more systematic stuff into their pushes, right? They're trying to be a little bit more structured with the way they go about things. I think going up against a team like Space Station is sort of the perfect test to sort of how that's been going, because they have these really intricate and strong defensive setups that you need a lot of that coordination to challenge. And I think early on in that game, you saw that Oxygen were really struggling to put that together, and they got pretty chaotic in those final fights due to the fact that they are a little bit new to this, and they're still trying to figure that out with how they incorporate structure into their playstyle when they're going for these types of pushes. But then, of course, they started to get more back on their feet in the attacking rounds, the end of the half 4-2, and when they got onto defense, we really started to see them shine. I think the flexibility we talked about before before the match started, I should say, really did come in big for Oxygen Esports. You could tell that like they were going for mid-round adaptations. They were moving people, particularly on the defense in the basement. They had a lot of people moving in and out of Freezer, which I thought was really good to counter what Space Station was doing on their pushes. So really, you can read a lot into Oxygen's playstyle and how it's been changing over the last few months just by looking at that last map.
Jesse, I want to talk to you about that evolution here, because I know both of you were talking about this. Oxygen on defense, they were rotating well, lots of teamwork, lots of coordination. Also on comms, we heard Intero, towards the beginning, he was actually kind of critical, but then he later on was like, they are coming alive right now. Can you comment on that a little bit?
Yeah, again, I think it's just due to the fact that with the first half, we saw Oxygen on attack, and attack things can get pretty chaotic. Obviously, this was a new map, and I want to like focus. This was the map pick of Oxygen Esports. They took a bit of a gamble going here because they didn't really know what Space Station was going to throw at them. Space Station also didn't really know what Oxygen were going to throw at them, but they came into this not really knowing what they were going to face, and I think they got a little bit tripped up because the strats played by Space Station, as mentioned by Veli, were really, really good, and so Oxygen got a little bit chaotic. They probably fell back into just like, let's try to all work individually and figure this out without like thinking too much about our coordinated push. And that lost them a couple of rounds earlier on then. But then when they could play their game on defense, that chaotic nature, that uncertainty going into the round wasn't really a factor anymore. And so they were really able to focus on that and like play as a team, which is what they've been trying to do. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah, one round in particular, especially in Freezer, to basically highlight everything Jesse just said. It was beautiful seeing Foxay on Clash, which is something that I expected a player like Bao to be on. But him working together with Bio and the rest of his teammates to rotate around and apply pressure wherever SSG were attacking to make their push on the site, they were able to stop them in their tracks. That's not something a lot of teams are able to do.
And I want to talk about our community vote. So the question was like, which team will have the top fragger for this series? And we actually heard Kix chatting about this because he was like, dude, Canadian and Bio are popping off, and players that we're not usually seen do that were, right?
Yeah, you know what it looked like, Jesse? So Foxy sent out a tweet saying that he's going to be playing under Bao's account, and Bao's going to play under his. And it looked like it. Foxy did not pop off this map. But Bio, let me say this. Bio has received a lot of crap because he's underperformed a lot, okay? Especially on his TSM days. This Bio, I don't know what OXG Bio has done to the TSM Bio, but this man is out for blood and you love to see it. But also, Jesse, I can't be the only one disappointed with folks.
No, certainly not. Fultz was having an off day. I think like you could just see it in his like stats. I mean, he was not hitting the kill feed very often, and even some plays like you would watch. I remember one, he's on Maestro, he's sitting outside in dorms, and he's watching a doorway. And somebody comes in doorway, and Fultz is standing there, and he gets shot by the guy in doorway, and Fultz is standing there, and then Fultz is dead. And like, Fultz, are you here? Is your monitor on? So Fultz had a bad day. I don't want to dog on him too much because I think everybody has bad days, and Fultz has proven he's a good player in the past. But that type of stuff contributes to a loss, and you got to imagine that Space Station probably would have picked up a couple extra rounds if Fultz had been performing as he usually does, and a couple extra rounds would have been all it would have taken for SSG.
And really quickly, because we were talking about the community vote, the results were SSG 71%, Oxygen 29%, but interesting. Definitely excited to see what map 2 brings. What are y'all thinking, really quickly?
I feel like if Canadian continues to step up and Bosco continues playing the way he does, this is a best of 3. This isn't the EU League, okay? This is how we do it over here. With a best of 3, I still feel like Space Station has a chance. But I don't know if Vertical wakes up in the first half and continues that heat like he did in the second half of last map. This Oxygen team, I don't see them losing at all.
I think this is going to be a scary map because, again, it's a map that's it's Consulate, remember? So this isn't one Space Station has played since the Invitational. It's been a long stretch since we've seen SSG here. You know that Lycan and the Analyst guys have been cooking up some strats for this. So I'm a little worried for Oxygen, but I got to stick with my guns. I think that they'll be able to clean this one out.
All right, well, map 2, Consulate. Who is taking it, SSG or OXG? You do not want to miss this. We will be right back.
Welcome back to our second map here in our very first matchup of the evening. It's SSG versus Oxygen. And if you're just tuning in, well, it took all 15 rounds. That means all of overtime, yes. And SSG's not capable of drawing, as we memed about on Twitter earlier. But yeah, it's excellent job to excellent job to OXG.
Parker, I don't know if you're talking. I can see your lips moving. I can't hear your words.
I was talking.
Oh, hey, you're there. Now I can hear you. Huzzah. So, what were you doing in the lead-in? We're getting ready for map number 2?
I don't know why my microphone was not working. I said welcome back to our second map here. If I can just do it again. I'll just speed right through it super quick. Let you talk again. First map went all 15 rounds. And OXG came out on top. Spoilers. Sorry for those of you. But we're going to go to Consulate as our second map. We're going to waste no time. We're ready to just launch right on in. And it's SSG's map choice here, Michael, so they should have the upper hand.
They should. And you know, that's the interesting thing, right? Because we actually haven't seen either of these teams. Well, no, sorry. We haven't seen SSG play this map anytime recently. But most importantly, this is SSG's most banned map as of late. So I'm imagining they've been holding this one up their sleeves, waiting for the moment to whip it out and be like, okay, here's our advantage. I think SSG are going to be well-versed on console. I think they're going to be very comfortable here. We'll see how that plays out, though, of course, when we get into the actual match. First, the ban phase. Nomad banned. That is huge. This is Nomad's best map, in my opinion. One of them, at least, as she can deny a lot of these important runouts that you're going to get on Consulate. Now, it will likely mean there will be an answer of a Valkyrie ban here from SSG, or at least I would imagine there will be. There it is. If the Nomad is banned on Consulate, you must ban Valkyrie. And the reason is because those runouts are going to happen still because Nomad's not there. But with Valkyrie information, they're more lethal.
Last ban's a mirror ban, so the defenders will be exactly the same as before. Or rather, with the exception of the mirror coming out as a mute. There was the two that were different, which is Thatcher and mute this time around.
Now, nothing too like insane in the ban phase. It's just gonna be a little bit different. Slash, please, just for a second, but please don't. We don't need this to be that match. There's so much on the line right now. For those of you unaware, a brief reminder: this map could get Oxygen in first place out of this group and put them into Group A for the second stage if they win it. We of course, it's whoever wins the series will go into that position. But right now, Oxygen have that one map lead, so they're very close to that. However, as has been talked about at length, I definitely agree with this sentiment. I do think that this should be an SSG map rather. However, we've been surprised before.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by the first map, if I'm being honest with you. Not that I thought that there was no way that OXG was going to win, but when you're riding halfway through that match and SSG is... I mean, I don't want to say dominating because there were a couple rounds that we noted could have gone either way, and I think it's very fair to say that OXG, if you have a couple gunfights, one gunfight in 3 separate rounds swings in the other direction, it's a very different game that we see. But, I mean... I don't know, that was a tough match to really break down, and it's going to be a fascinating one to see the side content that comes out to kind of sum up exactly what happened. And Oregon has been like that for almost every single match that we've seen on the new map. And I mean, it's going to keep happening until teams start to understand the meta a little bit better around it.
And that meta keeps changing too, right? We talked about this a little bit before, and I think we're going to probably just keep bringing it up because it's forever relevant. The Echo perma ban really is changing a lot of how this ban phase plays out, and thus a lot of how the rounds will play. So the very windy admin office is being taken by SSG, and they'll have that control, which will allow them to extend control to the entirety of the top floor.
So I imagine we're going to see a much slower pace here on Consulate, as there's a lot of boxes you have to check. Is that a Nitro cell that just missed its mark from Fox, And SSG, as you can see, didn't even take a single scratch. No dent to be found. So they'll walk away, obviously very, very happy with that one. And it's the Sledge of Bosco that was the intended target from that C4.
No mark hit, though, for Oxygen. They'll continue to just wait this out. We saw time be a major factor in map number 1, and it looks like it will once again be a major factor here in map number 2, as the attack has used half the round to clear above. This is a much more efficient clear of the roamers. There's still a lot of work yet to do.
Lots of sledging being had inside a piano. That's your typical spot for it to occur, as you're going to want to put the pressure over top of the defenders, most of whom on Oxygen's side have now fallen back. They're not going to aggressively hold on to this bomb site. They'll play on the edges of it, as actually it looks like Foxay's heading upstairs. Fultz is in hot pursuit, and there you go. He's found. The very first kill of our second map comes to Space Station with about a minute to go.
That's a good early kill, especially onto Fox A, as he could have gathered a lot of information using his cardiac sensor later into this round and relayed that to his teammates. Laxing's put to low HP as well. Thinking Nade has incurred a little bit of damage, but nothing to stress about. He'll still take likely 2 bullets from most guns. Rampy will get vertical as well, though, and Oxygen have got to be sweating as we hit these last 25 seconds.
They're holding the drops, though, but unfortunately dropping around them as there goes Slash. 1 for Biologic. The very first kill for Oxygen will come on the board. 15 seconds left. Laxing has not been moved from his position. He pops up right as you see the diffuser go down, and he has no chance against Fultz whatsoever. Trying to make up for lost time, as Fultz had a very bad first game, but he gets paid. He pays for it with Biologic annihilating him with the Alda. One of the trickiest things to do at this range is fight off, knowing that the garage is open and 3 members of Space Station try to get drawn out, and no way Biologic is able to stop them all. Canadian credited with that very final kill, but it was a joint effort as bullet tracers whizzed left and right. Space Station on attack take their very first round, and it's on round number 1.
Well, that was a very swift attack from SSG, and about as efficient as they come. The key there is, I mean, they were doing all the things that needed to be done on the execution, and we didn't even get to see them all. They were so fast about it. They also managed to get that plant down. It certainly seems like bottom floor is going to be hostile territory for Oxygen moving forward in this map, and that does not bode well for their chances overall. If that round is indicative of the future rounds, Oxygen is looking at map number 3. And I know that it's early to call that, but that was some scary stuff there.
Should we let the teams know that the match is already over and that it's been called?
Yes, I will relay that to Fox A post-haste, Parker.
He's just, in his case, will alert the minister.
He will come down from up on high and he'll just say, sorry guys, you tried, eh? But you get a little bit of vacation. We'll wait till we get to map number 3.
And what a vacation it would be in the Italian countryside.
Is that where we're going? The Italian
Villa.
Oh.
The Villa's next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's over. I don't mean to imply that. I know that this is going to be a fight, and we saw Oxygen with the comeback in map number 1. So please don't, say that I'm counting out Oxygen already. But what is scary is that Oxygen is not comfortable on the bottom floor, at least from what we saw in that last round, and that is going to change a lot of how they pick, with regards to how they pick their sites and the overall rounds that they can squeeze out of each half.
Round number 2 is going to be on the lobby bomb site, and SSG seems quite poised to take admin upstairs, maybe heading through Visa as well, as you see a drone get tossed through the window in an upside-down rappel from the ash of Rampy. Rampy was one of the best players for Space Station through the very first map, and expect to see that again. He is incredibly consistent. And the scary thing is that Oxygen was able to do as well as they did with both Fox A and Fultz performing poorly. If Fox A wakes up, or if Fultz wakes up, this could be an entirely different game for either team, depending on the circumstances around it.
More slow information gathering as they push out from admin office. Those EMPs coming out, and that's that Thatcher not getting banned. Big deal there, as he, as an operator, has the highest presence in North America through this season. He is either banned or getting played the majority of the time. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I know he's the #1 presence operator for the season overall. I think it's about around 90% or something along those lines. Actually, it's 93%. There you go. 93% presence from Thatcher in this season.
Good God.
Yep.
And Thinking Nate is going to be using that operator on flank watch as well. He's a totally immovable object in that play, and you've seen the praise that's been given to him from not just his teammates, but his opponents as well, and I think that one is what really speaks volumes.
Yeah, I think Nade's always been good at that position. We talked about Laxing being good in that position as well. That flank watcher, those are so important to how your round plays out. The pressure coming from admin office is substantial, but you can see Oxygen's really not feeling too stressed about it. They still got their site played downstairs. They still have roamers upstairs. There's options here. The double ACOG of vertical and slash on the top floor, these angles could work magic if SSG walks into them, but SSG's not doing that. They pressured in a meeting and looks like they're falling back for the most part.
This ACOG of Vertical hasn't really been needed just yet. I don't know if he's got a rotation down towards the yellow door. He was looking through the windows as if he was going to go for the vault. Might give himself away. Stims himself up, but yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. But instead, no, he's going to go for a run out and get caught. No real opportunity for him to kill Fultz playing far enough back. And Fultz has barely made it a spawn as SSG will add another to their tally and go up 5v3. 15 seconds left, Canadian halfway through that diffuse. He stops for but a second to try and evade a C4 that sounds like it gets tossed, or no, an impact rather. There's the Rook. Big play from Slash. He's huge. Can't go deep into Visa, but Laxing is there. 1 second left, and SSG is going to lose on time. Oxygen holding down the fort, and once again, we've said his name in map 1, Slash, putting up huge numbers for his team, and these teams even now heading into the third round.
Not just the huge numbers, but the impact plays. If not for Slash there, that certainly would have been an SSG round. They were poised to get the plant down, but it was not allowed thanks to the excellent timing of Slash in Spiral. Managed to get the Ash, who was trying to cover his teammate, and then also the planter. Beautiful job from him. I'm not really sure I like that run out from Vertical. I know there wasn't a whole lot of time left in the round, but I think maybe trying to retake upstairs might have been the play instead of running outside. Either way, though, we've got that done. We can move on. Oxygen take their first round, and they descend once again to the bottom floor? I don't know, man. I'm still scared if I'm Oxygen of the last time SSG executed this site. So either Oxygen's got some crazy new strategy to whip out, or this is... well, intimidating, I guess, is the word.
There's definitely something at play here with going to this bomb site. And, I mean, your retake, your defuse, rested on the shoulders of Bio winning a 1v3 with 2 members of Space Station as far away as is humanly possible from the diffuser at the top of that driveway, and then the other member of Space Station directly above you. That's an impossible place to find yourself in. I mean, even if Maestro had the Alda, that's still an virtually unwinnable position unless SSG throws their brains out.
I mean, one thing I will say about SSG is that when it's a good idea to throw your brains out, sometimes they can do that. So, you know, for example, Rampy's just going to waltz on into circle. He will get droned out, but it was a little bit delayed. He could have been exposed for a good long time there. Or he was exposed for a good long time, but there was no one to capitalize on it. Rampy will get laxing, though. His aggression pays off. Down goes your Jaeger. Down goes what was, before today, probably one of the top performers in the league. Laxing has not had the best performance so far, but he has not been underwhelming, so that's good.
Perfectly whelmed.
Perfectly whelmed. Ideally whelmed, you might say.
I mean, Laxing had a pretty good game in map 1, but it was overshadowed, in my opinion, by Bio and Slash, who aren't used to putting up those level of numbers and came up huge. You know, we're used to seeing at the hierarchy of OXG, having Bio and Slash at the bottom of the scoreboard, with Laxing dominating, Foxay maybe a little bit behind, and him trading with Vertical. There's flexibility on the OXG lineup. You know, there was a period of time where people used to joke that they had no support players on the team, and they made a couple moves, and Bio and Slash have definitely elevated this style of play. But losing Laxing this early is obviously detrimental. Next goal for SSG is going to be to take care of Foxay playing inside of the bathroom. He's got the hatch open, and he can drop whenever he needs to.
I absolutely love the adjustment we're seeing from Oxygen. I really do. I gotta hand it to them, and it's perfectly putting me in my place for what I said in the first round. We've got, and, I'm not going to say that Oxygen will win this round. We don't know that yet, but they have managed to slow the pace of SSG, and that is certainly what they needed to do. The garage will get opened up regardless, so the player inside a bathroom is not going to stop that, but at least, again, he did slow it. Foxay could also still do a lot of work from this position, so his job's not done yet. The push here, and he'll be stopped. Beautiful job there. It'll be actually slashed from below using a hole that was made in the floor to get that kill. Foxay feeling very cornered. He won't get anyone, but he'll do a little bit of damage before being felled. Vertical gets 2, though, in response by Yellow Stairs, I believe. And now SSG is in a 2v3 with only 30 seconds to execute.
That's very much a Laxing play as Vertical gets called up to the top of Yellow Stairs to catch the flank of both members of Space Station that were too busy distracted by Foxay. And there's another for Vertical, so continue to pad his stats. As we pointed out, he didn't exactly top the charts on Oregon. He and Foxay were towards the bottom. Vertical has an opportunity to pick up 4 kills if he really wants. Slash, who'd been hot in this round, throws out a toxic canister, and with only 10 seconds left, Bosco has nowhere to go but down. Members of Oxygen will just simply stand pat and hold, and unless something goes horribly awry, they'll take round number 3. But trying to choke it out. There's Bosco, can't do anything. He's gone. Oxygen hangs on just as we'd predicted.
Great job there to Oxygen. The adjustment of putting a player inside of the bathroom is exactly what they needed. You'll love to see it, Parker. You really do. That is a game-changing adjustment. We'll see what SSG has as a response. We'll go to Archives Tellers, though, as the next bomb site. Oxygen, I gotta hand it to them, are looking just solid. That's the only word I can think of, really. Absolutely just rock solid on their map so far. Or on this map, I guess. It's not their map. It's SSG's
I mean,
map.
did you tell them that you've already called the match after the first round?
No, I did not. I did not send that message. The Prime Minister was not made aware.
Locate and defuse bombs.
Okay, well that...
Have I disappointed you, Parker?
That would explain it.
No, but I was just talking about what was going on with that bottom floor, the efficiency we saw from SSG, right? It was ruthless. And Oxygen have accounted for that. They've adjusted for it. And I'm impressed by that as well. The back and forth is really what's making this match so interesting. And I gotta commend it.
So, it's Teller's Archives defense, Michael. What is it with teams foregoing the top floor bombs? Teller's Archives has surged in its pick rate, and I mean, teams have really struggled to pull it off. The downstairs hold is so strong from certain teams, and I wonder right now if it's enabled by the meta that we're in. Mute, Mozzie, and Vigil make roaming up top and roaming off site incredibly powerful, and then you just triple up on C4s most of the time, and it's exactly what's happening here. Kaid and Mute all have explosives in hand. You cannot escape that C4 planting on the table or on that desk. So... yeah. That's what I expect to happen right now, is that unless SSG puts somebody down below, they're going to need to juggle bodies until somebody can just bait out all the C4s.
Yeah, the thing is, currently in North America, CEO and Tellers both have the same exact defensive win rate, 33%. So it's not exactly like it's a site that is seeing more success than CEO. So I can't imagine what the reasoning is behind it being played so much more. Now, of course, that's from a very small sample size, 2 maps, and what you see here today is going to change those statistics quite a lot. We'll see. I mean, maybe Oxygen are just more confident here. Maybe this is really just their site. That stands to reason. I want to say we've seen some crazy things from them here on this site before, and I think we have, actually. I'm going to double check that, though.
Hammer's met it upstairs, just trying to cause him discomfort now, as we're halfway through round number 4, and expect to see teams concede that main floor and then just simply hold off. And, well, it really depends on the pacing that the attackers set, because the defenders don't really always do that much on this bomb site. We see them fall off, let the attackers take control of that top floor, assert themselves as best as they can, and then you basically play for a retake. That's the strategy that a lot of teams employ on Teller's Archives. The problem is going to be that if you can't do that quickly enough, then that juggling comes in where you have somebody go in, try to plant. If evade a C4, awesome. If not, and they die, which is more likely, then you repeat the process all over again. As long as Foxay's in play, he's going to be vocal and able to give so much information to his teammates. One C4 is already down, though, and now Laxing is removed too. So things working out well for SSG, but once again, the clock is going to be their greater nemesis. Only 40 seconds left.
So I actually just checked it. It wasn't Oxygen, it was their opponents Disrupt, who were really good on Tellers. So maybe Oxygen learned something from Disrupt. But what SSG's doing is going for that plant. C4 number 1 will miss as Canadian successfully fakes it out. C4 number 2, well, where is it? Canadian continues to move inside of the bomb site. Vertical will throw that second C4, but another maneuver for Canadian will be too slow. SSG is putting up frags here. They've managed to get Laxing. That's 2 players felled as they attempt to get the plant. Maybe no more C4s. Bosco goes for the plant, but it's not going to matter as he's now the last player alive with only 10 seconds to go. He has to find 4 and get the plant down. It just doesn't seem likely. Vertical will shut him down. Oxygen certainly seem to have learned from their match versus Disrupt on this last week. But Teller's defense really shored up.
3 in a row now from Oxygen as they have completed the cycle, as we like to call it, and lobby will find itself open yet again. There is still that top floor bomb site, and here's one thing that we're overlooking. Despite the scoreline, SSG is perfect in opening duels. Remember the community vote that we talked about?
Yep.
Way back when, who was going to have the top fragger? Well, in terms of frags, SSG is still finding them right now. Vertical is actually leading the lobby, but in terms of opening duels, SSG have been excellent. It was relatively even between these two teams on Oregon. If you go back and look, almost dead even, actually. It was 8 in favor of Space Station, 7 in favor of Oxygen. Right now, it's 4-0 SSG. Despite this, there's trouble brewing for Space Station. Consulate is a map that the defense wins reliably well, but it's a relatively balanced map with the way that teams play it. It doesn't hold the distinction of being particularly defender-sided. At least it hasn't as of late. There's lots of different ways that you can frag well on it. It's a very linear map. It empowers roamers. It allows attackers, if they're going to be running certain operators, to flank watch effectively, and can end up just being a bit of a kill fest. You know, we talked about the freak show maps, as we used to call it. Coastline has always been a very frag-heavy map, but it was Oregon for a long period of time. Then it was Border. The new Oregon is entirely different. But Consulate is a map that Consulate's a map where you can frag well and expect crazy plays. There really hasn't been anything crazy so far about the 4 rounds now that we've seen.
Nothing crazy indeed.
I should note it is still a defender-sided map. It's just not as overwhelming as other maps that are in the map pool.
Yeah. It's about 59%. But, of course, that's from a small sample size. So, or 59% for the defense. But that's, yeah, when you compare it to some other maps, we're looking at like 67% and such. I mean, like, Cafe, 67%. Theme Park, 68% for the defense. So, it's more balanced, I'd say. And then even Oregon, the map we just played, that's 73%, I think, off the top of my head. So that's, yeah. It's a fairly good map in terms of attack or defensive balance. But the site is going to be, whoa, well, first of all, C4 from below, and down goes Thinking Eight. I have to imagine that's a pre-placed. As I was trying to say there, the site is going to be main lobby, and the first goal for the attack is to clear the top floor. And SSG are kind of slow on this top floor clear, and I think a big part of that is the mute. The operator that was banned in the last map, but allowed through this time around.
Last best of 3 that Space Station lost was in Croatia at OGA Pit at the start of December. After that, they went out into USN. They went perfect there. They were perfect in their best of 3s as well at 6 Invitational. And, well, they're in danger of losing it here. Still, they do have the less favorable side on Consulates. There's plenty of time for things to get fixed, but now they're trailing by 2 bodies. Fultz and Thinking Nate are gone. A refrag. It's late from Rampy onto Foxay. We're only at the halfway, or just a little under the halfway mark of this round, so Oxygen can just sit real pretty, and there's Vertical. He was inside a console office before. He was excellent. He tried to challenge Fultz earlier, couldn't make it work. He's behind the desk, his position given away, and, well, he's down for the count. His leg sticks out, and Bosco gets it, but still, it's an advantage for OXG.
Oxygen seem to be brimming with confidence through this round. They continue to challenge one fight after another. Canadian and Bosco, though, they've definitely got a good chance of clutching this up. They do have the top 4 control that they were vying for earlier in the round. Slash is on low HP. He'll die to a single bullet, or even that last grenade from Bosco from a good distance away. So a lot of pressure on Laxing and Biologic shoulders. The real pressure, though, is being felt by Canadian, who has to go for a plant with only 15 seconds left, and, well, he's gone. So it's all on Bosco. He'll use this nade to cover while he tries to push for the diffuser. It's not going to be an easy push, but he knows where his target is at the very least, at the top of that banana staircase. Plant now, going to be attempted, but he really has no choice, actually. He can't even try. Someone will stop him, and he'll just save his KD. Really can't blame him, to be honest. There was no way he was going to be able to make it if he attempted a plant. Oxygen, a great holdout on the top floor, and they'll win that round on time as a result.
SSG are really sputtering on these attacks right now. They're making good headway when they entry, and getting in the building isn't much of a problem. There is really no resistance from Oxygen to stop SSG from gaining initial map control, but they get just barely a foothold, that's it. And then after that, it's just Oxygen continuously playing extremely patient Siege. Some of the most patient Siege I've seen out of OXG. This is not a team that is known for just resting on their laurels and playing far back and letting their opponents come to them. I don't know if this is on the shoulders of Hopes and Redeemer, but there have been some significant improvements in just a week, as you noted, and is now even more pronounced over the matchup against Disrupt that OXG was in last week. And they're taking it to SSG quite well. As you pointed out, 59% of the defensive win rate means that Oxygen are where they roughly should be. A 3-3 to a 4-2 scoreline is what you expected of the defense given that number. Oxygen have performed up to par. There's still one round left. It's downstairs in Garage. SSG won the very first take here and then lost their next take. So it's a coin toss as to whether or not SSG will be able to fix this. But there is a lot of weight on the shoulders of SSG, given the fact that they haven't lost in so long. Since December of 2019, that was the last best of 3 that we saw SSG lose. And they're tunnel visioning. That's it. They're tunnel visioning right now, and they're getting the opening pick. They're not translating well after that, and they're losing gunfights and getting picked off one by one. It started to happen on Oregon. It's continued now here in Consulate. The thing for SSG is they have that mental reset after this round because they'll be going on to defense. But boy, oh boy, this is some of, I don't want to say the worst Siege that we've seen in a while from SSG, but they don't look like the dominant team that we've watched over the last 6 months.
No, they certainly don't. I mean, a big part of that is SSG, of course. But I really am impressed by the performance of Oxygen. The key to these rounds, I think, is Oxygen's confidence, the way that they're taking the fights, and the positions that they're holding. I mean, even Foxay, who died... Remember that round? The second defense, the bottom floor, from Oxygen, when Foxay was playing in bathroom, and he died there. He didn't get anything done, other than wasting an abundance of time and allowing his teammates to pick up kills. Even that play, I mean, that accounted for a lot of the outcome of the round, in my opinion, despite him not getting the kill, because he did a job that put something in the way of SSG that they could not immediately deal with, and that's exactly what you need. And we've been seeing a lot of stuff like that coming out from Oxygen, and more often than not, it's actually resulting in free picks for Oxygen, despite them not getting those early kills that SSG have been picking up. They are getting the most important ones, and that's why they find themselves at 4-1.
I mean, this also happened with Vertical killing so much time on T3 of Oregon. That was huge as well, and SSG just had no answer to that. As you pointed out, it was 2 minutes that was wasted by this play from Oxygen, and they're continuing to just absolutely run down the clock. OXG have been, like I said, they've been really patient, and they're allowing SSG to almost overthink, it seems like, and SSG are just struggling way too hard with pretty, I don't want to say default stuff, but it shouldn't be this challenging for SSG. And of course, we say all this, you have to give a lot of credit to OXG, and I hope that I have done just that, given the fact that, like I said, the pacing of the last 10 to 12 rounds has been all decided by OXG.
Well, Garage will get opened up with 40 seconds left for SSG, and they haven't lost a member yet, so this is still very winnable for the attack. Drop down's opened up, so the play by Pillar is nullified. OXG will have to play far back. Very late exothermic charge going on to the Garage. It'll open up that second and third panel. With very few seconds left, Canadian has to go for a plant attempt. Slash still has 2 gas canisters, so if he can place them well, he'll be able to stop that plant. Rampy gets Foxay. That's the first kill of the round. Plant going down, and this is too late from Slash. As the kills continue to come out for SSG, they're now in a post plant in the Garage. This is unlosable for Space Station. Vertical, the last player alive. It would have to be the most incredible clutch in the history of Rainbow Six, and it's just not going to happen. A great execution there from SSG as they get the plant down in front. Oh, nice shot from Vertical. Not possible still, though. I mean, he's got to find one above. 2 outside. He finds the one above. Now he has to find 2 outside. 1 on rappel, though, and I'm guessing he's not going to expect that. He'll hear the one at the top of stairs, but he just can't make it happen. Canadian will lock it out, and SSG takes the round. Small correction, he wasn't on rappel. He was top yellow stairs. Either way, it doesn't matter. Space Station, a great execution.
Same thing, very similar strategy from Space Station this time. Once they opened up the Garage and once they were able to get in and get the plant off, it was a bit too much patience from Oxygen. So the thing that I was literally just praising them on, the trait, ends up, I think, working against them. As you could see, when there was 40 seconds left, that first exothermic charge goes off. Oxygen falls back into the site. Second exothermic charge goes to go off on the other panel, open the garage wide up to try and take away some of the ability for the defense to play around that fortified wall. And farther back, OXG goes into the bomb site. The only person who really held the line, so to speak, was Slash, and he threw that smoke, his toxic canister, way too late. While you were casting, there was 20 seconds left on the clock, and Slash still had 2 of his toxic canisters.
Yeah.
Now, given how long they last, he should have already thrown the second by then and been priming the third. And to add insult to injury, when he did throw the second toxic canister, it actually missed Canadian entirely, so it's not even like you could do a little bit of damage to the thermite. It sailed over top. Canadian's able to get off the defuse with roughly the same amount of health that he had going into it. Like I said, a bit too much patience from Oxygen. They were exceptional at not picking a fight early on. They didn't need to hold yellow stairs for more than a minute and a half. They fell off. It allowed Rampy to take it, and he walked down and held the position. And then when OXG decided to push, Rampy gets the lead-off pick. But it comes so late. And when Rampy does that, all of Oxygen had already started to transition towards the back of the bomb site because they knew that those exothermic charges had just started to be deployed and the push was going to come given what time was left on the clock. Now, it's up to OXG to set the tempo on attack because they're going to now be facing the brunt of SSG and they're going to have the map working against them just as SSG did for the first 6 rounds.
This prep up stairs for SSG is going to be very important. As you can imagine, when it comes to delaying the round, you can see that there are 3 players from the defense placed upstairs. Slash rappelling on the balcony, trying to apply pressure to Thinking Nade, who sits in the northeast corner, but he will be run out on by Rampy, who gets that kill and should be able to make it back to the building just fine as he opens up that front door. The fact that Rampy was not punished for that is really big. That should give SSG this round, but we're not done yet. Vertical going to, I believe, trying to get one of the Evil Eyes, probably by Big Death. That job done now. There's less information. Could have been an Evil Eye, could have been a, looks like a Bulletproof as well from Bosco. More likely the Bulletproof, to be honest.
It's a big opening pick, and it just continues to add to one thing that SSG has been doing well so far on Consulate, is they now lead by a score of 6-1 in those opening duels. Vertical missing opportunities, the engagement could possibly happen, and he's in an interesting spot at the top of Spiral with SSG not wanting to fall off of that second floor. It's going to be a hard-fought battle from Oxygen should they take it, but right now it's looking less likely as Vertical at the top of Spiral, as is noted, is, well, he's leaving in a coffin. He and Slash are gone. Diffuser still has not been retrieved either, so Oxygen have a lot of work to do. A third kill for Rampy. Canadian will stop the ace from happening, and just like that, Laxing will collect some impactless kills upstairs, but it's a 4v1 favoring Space Station. This match is going to tighten in front of our very eyes, and, well, exactly what you want if you're Space Station. Knock them off balance. SSG takes the very first round of their defense, looking to claw back after losing the first half.
There was a 3-way crossfire there to end out the round on Laxing, and if defense number 1 is going to mean anything, then, geez, this could be Space Station doing just that, Parker, clawing back, because that was a very solid hold. Now, we've seen SSG start off halves well and then falter already. We saw that in the first half. I don't know if that's really going to hold true. They also have to try different bomb sites now. They're not going to be able to go back to that middle floor. They'll try Archives Tellers, which is going to be a very different defense. Now, in the past, as I mentioned earlier, Oxygen has played this map against Disrupt. And against Disrupt, Oxygen could not win Tellers. Whether on attack or defense, they just struggled there so much, and it actually resulted in Oxygen losing the map. But SSG is a very different team, and that is going to, I think, change things up. So far, we've got Oxygen with that 1-0 on Tellers. They managed to take that. They were solid there on the defense. Now that they're on attack, things change a little bit, but will Oxygen still be more proficient on this site? Because often the idea behind the site stays the same for every team. It's we hold below, we C4A. That's how we deny the plant in A. We have Evil Eyes in A, and that's it. So, since it's usually that kind of simple idea, if Oxygen's got enough experience, they can make this work for them. And they do have that experience.
Yeah, I was going to say. In another Teller's Archives now, it's going to be just the second time we see it, and I'd imagine the setup is going to be very similar. We went through it the first time, but it bears repeating, is that teams are going to attack upstairs. They'll likely take admin, given the fact that a lot of teams don't bother to defend admin, and we're going to get a good look now as the camera pans over, whether SSG has anybody up there. The answer is, well, no. There you go. There are an awful lot of fans, by the way. So many fans.
I said it earlier, yeah, the incredibly windy admin office.
It is the most well-ventilated place on this entire map right now.
It really is. I don't know what they were thinking.
I mean, this map is set in Africa, and, you know, depending on what season it's in, it could be outlandishly hot. So having that many ceiling fans is, well, could be a major benefit.
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
there is nobody defending upstairs that we can see. So with that, Oxygen will be able to waltz on in just as they've done and can begin to attack the top floor. But they're going to have to struggle with the mid floor, as that's where a lot of this utility has been placed from Space Station, particularly the castle barricades of Bosco, who's now, as we see, one of the barricades blow up and he retreats to the top of Spiral Stairs.
Look at all those holes opened up in the A floor. That's going to be a pain to push no matter who you are. And I think a big part of that has got to be Bosco's sidearm shotgun. As him and Fultz, I mean, you could open up so much. Of course, you got Thinking Aid, yeah, your standard shotgun. But you can't do it all, right? And, well, you've got so much now with Castle getting that shotgun. I think that was a really good change for him. It made him a lot more in meta. Especially after they took it away from Mozzie. Anyway. The hold is working so far for SSG, and by that I mean Oxygen haven't decided to go for a push yet. They're facing the last minute of the round, though. They really do need to speed things up. Maybe get a pick onto one of the C4s from below, or maybe collapse into Archives, which is something we don't see the attack do very often. That open wall is going to make things easier when pushing into A and trying for a plant, that's for sure.
All the C4s are still available. First kill goes to Bosco on defense. Rampy gets one of his own. Space Station start things off in explosive fashion, but immediately OXG flips it on its head. Biologic getting the defuse down, but no C4 will go off. Excellent coverage from Vertical. More sprays going in, and Biologic gets the hell out of dodge. That's double digits so far in this round for Vertical. He's at 11 and 5, and now he'll just watch the Visa stairs for somebody from SSG to walk up to their doom. TCSG in hand for Rampy. He might be a dead man walking. Still trying to figure out if somebody's downstairs in cafeteria, but time is just bleeding away as this happens. One kill from Vertical. He's looking for more. Tosses a flashbang out. He's going to get pushed up from the Kaid. Leveled by Rampy as Biologic finishes off the down-thinking nade that had been started by Bio, but Rampy trades all but a tiny piece of his HP. Almost at the point of no return, and they'll hit it. No chance for Rampy to do anything other than stat pad, and Oxygen will once again go back to a 2-round lead.
Wow, what an interesting round. Biggest moment there was Ash's kill onto Canadian. Great job there from Vert, getting that frag, giving his team the advantage, and putting the plant on the floor. If it weren't for Vertical, Canadian would have stopped that plant. I'm almost certain. And that really says a lot. You got to imagine Canadian must have been frustrated when he died there, as he was just about to salvage the round for his team. SSG had things in line. The time was really ticking down. The frags were coming out for the defense, and it looked like it was going to be just another solid hold of Tellers, this time for SSG. Vertical said, not today, and here we are, 5-3. Solid job there from Oxygen on the execute into the site, despite how close it came. But again, major commendation specifically to Vertical.
Yeah, that was really a well-played team effort, as Bio trusted his teammates unconditionally, and that trust was not misplaced. How many times did in that Disrupt matchup, Slashug get blown to pieces while somebody from OXG was supposed to be covering it, and there was a second left on the diffuser at most, and Slash would die? I think it was probably 3 or 4 times given the course of a match, and with how infrequent the diffuser does get planted in most of these matches, that's a pretty high number for Slash to end up finding himself dead. But so far, the objective play from both of these teams has been quite strong today. OXG didn't have the best outing of it on Oregon. SSG did really well on both Oregon attack and on Consulate attack. 6 diffusers planted for SSG so far through 12 rounds. Not bad 50% of the time. That's a pretty decent mark to hit. So far, Oxygen tried to get it down in lobby, but didn't get close enough, and then commanded it on tellers. If they can continue to play around the objective, which is not something that OXG does all the time, it might give you a slight edge here, because not every team is prepped and ready to fight in a post plant and go for a retake. And you know, Consulate is a map that retaking can be exceptionally challenging on, because you have so many different long lines of sight and so many ways that the attackers can just hide when the diffuser goes down. And none more relevant than on this bomb site right here. Attacking on the garage gives you the opportunity to just fall so far back after the diffuser is down. We saw it when SSG was on attack, and we can now see it when OXG goes on attack, providing a diffuser gets planted.
Seeming likely with 2 whole minutes, Oxygen have already opened up the garage. They've got some pressure being applied through said garage. One thing to keep in mind, though, is they haven't taken care of the players upstairs. You still got Rampy, I believe, inside of the bathroom, who can hinder this plant if he times his drop well. Everyone from Oxygen is outside right now. And the weirdest thing about this is that they're not even trying to get piano control. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna push in through garage, we're gonna have plenty of time, and we're gonna win these fights. It's a dangerous attack strategy, and it can work. It's just, you know, it's a risk.
I wonder if OXG is going to try to clear out from above, because teams have lined up to try and pull this off and then end up getting destroyed from the angle play above them. Foxay has moved to what appears to be the front door, and, well, off to the races goes Vertical. Using the cover of smoke, he's in, finds one. That's his 12th kill. Misses out on a second opportunity. The smoke will fly on by as Vertical is waiting to pounce. Slash going for the defuse, but there's 2 kills on the Vertical and Foxay. As we said it, you can get out of dodge so quickly, and that's exactly what will happen. Slash managing to go away from the diffuser as fast as he can. SSG have a numbers advantage, but they will work under the gun. This is a tough spot to be in. Can you long arm it? If you're the Wamai, and where will OXG try to pressure you from? Waxing far enough away takes out Rampy. One of the members of SSG that's playing over by yellow has just given their position away. Canadian going for the defuse. What a shot onto Laxing! Canadian playing so well. He'll go back onto it. But there's Bio with one. Another from Bio. Great in the post plant. Time out. It's going to be match point in favor of Oxygen. Bosco, a fruitless attempt, but trouble for SSG as they are 1 round away from their first best of 3 loss in many, many moons.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, there's layers to unpack here. The first one, I don't remember who it was exactly, but it was the Sledge, I want to say, who was playing on cement wall outside of front door, looking through the piano windows. And that's how they were alleviating that potential piano pressure. They weren't letting the defenders look down from above because they had someone outside holding the angle. So beautiful job to Oxygen for that. Following that, the push into the site was a couple different layers. It was the gridlock stinger traps going out, filling out the floor, making it so the retake from the defense was hindered. It was the smoke grenades as well, just eliminating line of sight. Most importantly, Vertical's rush into kitchen made SSG think it was a different kind of attack than it actually was. Beautiful job there to Vertical, emanating more presence than he actually could put out as a person, as a player, and making SSG think, again, that was a totally different kind of strat, maybe a rush strat, maybe just a complete brawl, and then getting that plant down as a result. The post-plant play, though, was crucial, because SSG, if there's any team that's going to be able to retake in that scenario, SSG is certainly one of them, and could be just the one, and they almost made it happen. They were very close. I mean, Biologic would have died to a single bullet from any gun there. So that could have been a retake from SSG, but Oxygen played it just barely good enough to manage it. The real beauty, though, was the initial push into the site.
And we've seen that style of push from teams before. You smoke off, you isolate the defenders that are sitting far back. You know that they're not playing that close to the bomb. It was what Oxygen themselves did on defense. They played so deep in the bomb site that SSG could have pulled the same thing off. Obviously they didn't, but it was well read. OXG knew exactly where Space Station was going to play. They knew that a single smoke would prevent them from going in, and you hadn't even heard the pop of the smoke grenade before Vertical was already towards the bomb chassis and then getting the kill inside of Cafeteria. So timing, obviously, on the side of Oxygen, and something that they had prepped for and were well ready for. It didn't look like a strat that was necessarily called on the fly, but it's also one that you have to understand where the defenders are playing before you call it. With that said, we were on a 6-3 on Oregon, and Oxygen stormed back. SSG will need to find some significant magic here because it's Oxygen in full control of Space Station's map and only one round away from taking the series.
Now, this middle floor defense is not easy to pull off. We've seen some teams be really solid on it, though. I mean, let me take a look at the stats, actually, for North America. It actually is the best site. Okay, statistically, Lobby has an 83% win rate for the defense. This match will change that, of course, but putting stats aside, the plant's going down. 2 kills already out. Rampy will stop the plant as Slash attempts it. And there you go. Great rush there from Rampy to get the diffuser down inside a Piano. He's also hugging that Piano as the kills continue to come out for both teams. We're not seeing them, but it looks like they're happening mainly around CEO. Foxe and Bio now in a 2 versus 3. They'll try to find the players inside a Piano, get that diffuser, and go for that plant again. Oh, Rampy may have heard someone. Maybe there's a call from one of his teammates. He will get an angle through the desk onto the soda doorway. This is going to be a solid hold for him, as that is where the push is coming from. Nade comes out from Bio, or rather from Foxe, and it will miss. Foot spotted there, damage done, but he's got to deal with somebody else shooting him in turn. Not a great position for Rampy, but not a great position for Bio either. Foxe trying to hold the push that he suspects is going to be coming from top yellow. Nothing comes just yet. He can hear his opponent there. The mark onto the Jaeger, the nade coming out, but it's a wide peek that might catch him. It will. Rampy, great awareness, and Foxe goes down, leaving just Bio, who will have to find 3. It's not easy to make that happen. He'll be spotted by main lobby cam, and he's eliminated by a Rampy. SSG keep their hopes alive.
I'm not exactly happy just yet if I'm Space Station, but man, Rampy, what a story there. There was no real way for Oxygen to be able to force Rampy out. Now, they possibly could have gone below. The garage wasn't opened up and the sledge was playing on yellow stairs. Could have opened it and maybe gone for a pick beneath when the marks were out, but Rampy survived 2 frag grenades, getting shot by Biologic, and then getting shot at from Foxe, and then also won his 1v1 by the doorway into lobby. Man, if I'm Rampy, I'm going up and buying a lottery ticket. Much of that round, though, was seen off camera, and it was entirely a lobby take. It looked like there was a focus from Oxygen upstairs. They tried to take both console and then into projector, but they were rebuffed. And they went blow for blow, left it back to a 3v3, and then SSG realized that we've got diffuser surrendered inside of the main lobby. We can hold antechamber. We can hold the bathroom. All we need to do is just sit and wait. Oxygen have already established a very quick push. They don't really have that much left in the tank. They had 2 frag grenades. They had a Thatcher on the board, sure. But ultimately, in terms of utility, unless Foxe goes upstairs with that sledgehammer, he's not going to be as effective with the rest of the team dead. Oxygen got that opening pick, and it really did seem like that go for the throat style, that go for the jugular, as they just rushed in again, 2nd round in a row. They were going to be able to knock SSG on their heels. But with it being lobby, if you can stop that plant in its tracks at the doorway, you have so much control in what happens next. That's exactly what SSG did. They were able to shut down the defuse. They got 2 kills. It cleaned up the lobby push from OXG, and the remaining members of Oxygen were all scattered around the map and not able to recover that diffuser and not able to immediately refrag on the play that we saw by lobby. With that, it's still match point for Oxygen. They've got 2 more rounds to go. We're looking at already a mirror match of Oregon, but it's a downstairs execute from Oxygen. They've already opened up one of the panels, and they might be looking to go with another quick tempo.
There's a Clash in a position to stop that quick tempo cold, though. Clash would be the ideal operator if all Oxygen does is attack through the garage. But it looks like Oxygen's going to be clearing out from the top floor as they repel into admin office. We'll start applying pressure from above, as you do, as is standard. Get those angles. you start figuring out what you're dealing with. Nothing too crazy happening thus far. Doesn't look like SSG's roaming anywhere other than in the bathroom, which is standard fare so far. Some angles opened up there from Bosco to try and help his teammate from below. Could do some good work there. Canadian on the Clash of all people. I like how Oxygen opened up the garage before they started clearing out above. Ooh, wait, Rampy downed. Likely from a spray from maybe Biologics through the holes in the wall, I'm guessing. And he'll be put to low HP, no dock. So Rampy, the top performer, and make no mistake, by far and away the top performer, 2 times that of his closest teammate, Bosco, is going to be put down to low HP. And actually what it was Rampy was trying to fall out of bathroom. He got downed as he was dropping. So he's lucky he got out of there alive.
Doesn't bode well for the remainder of SSG. If Rampy goes down, their fragging power does take a hit, but there's enough on this team to make up for it in a clutch moment. The thing is that OXG's guns have definitely come alive, with the exception of Fox, who's had a really bad day, but they haven't really needed him, at least not yet. And given the fact that OXG is this close, without somebody performing in terms of kills, well, I would say that they've obviously learned from their mistakes against Disrupt, and it's very evident here. Yeah. With that said, the Clash has been spotted down below by Pipes, and the Ash will try to take out the deployable shield, maybe do some damage in the process. None, but that looks like the shield is gone. Setting us up for the final 30 seconds. Still within the clutches of Oxygen. They have victory so close that they can taste it. Only 1 exothermic charge means that the opening in the garage is going to be much more narrow than the attackers may want, but will definitely benefit them in a post plant. The tricky part is getting that plant down in the first place. 1 toxic canister remains for Bosco, and with the time, that's perfect. He hasn't tossed it just yet. Slash will have to evade it as best he can. Maestro down below, tucked away by the stairs as in comes Slash, trying to bait somebody out. Damage being done to the Maestro, but Vertical cannot connect. Slash is at the halfway mark, being pushed up. It's 2 kills from Oxygen, but no! Slash gets taken out at the last second, and it was a round that SSG had almost no business winning, but the Nitro Cell keeps it in play. We're going to need all 12 rounds of Consulate. It certainly seems like overtime is on the menu. SSG, take the round.
We're going the distance here, Parker. Oxygen failing to clinch this out, failing to secure the round. They're so close. And yet, so far, as SSG have proven. So you said it perfectly, Parker. The depth that SSG has is really on display here. And their ability to stop that plant in the nick of time really is, well, the reason they took that round. There's not a whole lot else to say about that. There's also the fact that Oxygen were so slow on their execution. You could tell they were trying to be methodical, trying to get all the counterplay utility, the Evil Eyes, get them out of the way before you push into the site. But that left them with just a few seconds left. And that's not, I mean, it wasn't enough. 1 denial and you lose your round, well, that's never a comfortable place to be if you're the attacker. So, great job to that defense there from SSG. Nice C4. And we'll move over to Tellers for the last round of regulation. SSG either loses the entire series here in the next 3 minutes, or they push it to OT for another chance at bringing it to map number 3.
This is the greatest test for Oxygen right now, because momentum is starting to turn. Space Station has realized, hey, we're on Consulate, we're on defense, we need to work this out. And back to Teller's Archives they go. Mind you, that it was a win for Oxygen here on this bomb site, and I think a lot of it is going to come down to your opening pick, and in particular, the man that we're going to watch is Rampy. He's been a safe bet as the best player in the lobby, or at least one of the best players in the lobby throughout this entire matchup. But as Vigil, he is going to evade every single member of Oxygen as best as he can. The lineup on SSG doesn't really help him. He's very far off site because the Mute and the Pulse will likely be playing down below near server. Canadian, though, is all the way up on Pipes, so he is actually assisting the Vigil. I would assume that once the entry happens, the Pulse will move farther back because you will need to be calling with that cardiac sensor as the plant goes to happen. At the same time, both Rampy and Canadian have attracted the attention of Oxygen, and they're playing by the garage door, which is where you can see Laxing shooting away at right now.
You can see Rampy has been kind of running around in front of his opponent, almost flaunting his presence. And he has just barely been scathed. Not nearly enough. He has not been punished for his positioning. So that's really unfortunate if you're Oxygen. Fox A is going to get the castle barricade by Spiral, mid-Spiral. Bosco will hear that, and he will play a little bit different, a little bit safer on top banana. He's got to be careful of somebody pushing him from that main lobby. Space Station, though, overall, not feeling too pressured. This is interesting. They've left the garage unreinforced. Usually when you go to Teller's Archives, you'll reinforce the garage. But they don't seem to care that much about it, despite having such an aggressive roam. Speaking of, Bosco gets the first kill. Fox A will go down, so regulation, at least, he won't get more than that one kill he's got so far. As you mentioned, Parker, not the best match for Fox A yet, but we all have those days. Biologic will get Bosco, so there is an answer back. It's not over yet, but at least for the attack they've got control of above, they can start setting up for the execution on 2 tellers, maybe going for that plant.
Slash and Vertical trying to be joined side by side, as 35 seconds gives plenty of time for the defenders to make something work. Another kill from Oxygen, and they have the advantage now, but that floor entirely Swiss cheese is going to be an issue. It looks like they might have disabled the cardiac sensor of Canadian with the EMP, and they're going to need to toss some C4s up. Down goes the Zofia on the stairs. Biologic is removed from play. Diffuser goes down, and this is excellent if you're a fan of Oxygen. Right now, it's Canadian thinking they'd trapped down below with 3 members of Oxygen just very intently watching the stairs. They just need to wait very patiently. That's it. But Laxing is still on flank here, and he sees Canadian firing a bit too early. No damage done. He outduels him. It's Thinking Nade in a 1v3. They haven't lost since last year in a best of 3, but it's looking mighty grim for Space Station as Oxygen looks to break that streak. Thinking Nade gets 1, but he's halfway done to the timer. Only 7 seconds is what you need. It's not going to happen at all. No way Thinking Nade gets there. A humbling for Space Station. The world champions finally lose, and it comes at the hands of Oxygen. A 2-0. Jesse Chick was right. What an upset, many people would say. But regardless, an incredible series from OXG.
Yeah, great prediction there from Jesse, and I'm feeling, I guess, mighty smug about the pick of Oxygen at the beginning of the season. Because, wow, they have really been pushing and pushing and pushing a lot harder than I think most people would expect. I'm curious to see which player in particular is going to take away the most frags for that series, because there were a lot of great performances on both sides.
Yeah, Vertical did very well in that map, but didn't necessarily light up the scoreboard in map 1. That was Slash, who was doing it along with Bios. So there's so much to dive into here, and you're going to see an awful lot of chatter. Canadian blasting Bio earlier on Twitter, and, well, Oxygen did their talking on the battlefield. That's it for Kickstar and I tonight. There's still another match to go, though, but quickly, a break before the analysts go through that series.
Here we go now. Here we go now.
Welcome back, I'm Jackie Jing, and I am with Veli and Jesse. OXG winning in 2 maps against SSG. The SSG, the world champs. And that last round, I mean, we were all on edge there. Veli, break it down. Break it down for me.
I'm gonna say this. The only thing that mattered is the fact that Canadian was on post, and they as an Oxygen, they were able to plant right above him. But then we all asked, how was that able to happen? You have to give it all to the new IGL on Oxygen, and it's the guy that I've been raving over ever since map 1. It's gonna be Bio. Bio ran down in the most unselfish play ever. Was able to distract everyone on Space Station Gaming, or everyone that I saw at least. And with that happening, Canadian got off of his scanner, put out a shotgun, and was looking for the kill. That allowed Oxygen to get the plant, back up, and secure the win, beating Space Station Gaming 2-0. And it's been a while since Space Station has lost.
Yeah, and I want to say, that wasn't even the first time we saw a play like that happen in this map, way back in round number 8. Same situation, it's Tellers to the bomb site, Space Station's down below, Canadian has the player in his sights, and then that time it's Vertical who just runs on down there on your screen, you just saw it. Comes on down, kills Canadian right before he can pop off that C4, winning them the round. A lot of big clutch plays coming in for Oxygen that map.
Veli, when I said break it down, I thought you were going to like start twerking for us.
No, not yet,
not
yet. That's the only fans.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta wait for that.
Okay. We gotta wait for the twerk. I got it. But Jesse, I mean, hats off to you, man. I mean, Veli and I were both like, you called it. You predicted OXG taking it all. But in 2 maps, really, SSG had not lost a series in roughly half a year.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've avoided predicting the underdogs for a while now because I wanted to save it for a team I really believed in, and Oxygen was that team. I really thought they would come out here and show us a good show. No shade thrown to Space Station though. I mean, really, it wasn't a lot of mistakes from them. I would say there were a couple rounds where some questionable decisions were being made, but really, this was Oxygen showing up and proving that they are a top team in North America. They can really take it to the best of them. And yeah, Space Station Gaming just couldn't keep up today. Last time they lost a match was January 22nd. That was Pro League Season 11 against TSM. So as you said, almost 6 months that Space Station have gone undefeated in a game. That's just really crazy. And so everybody's got to fall sometime. I believe Space Station will, get themselves back up. This is still a top tier team, and I expect them to once again win a lot of games in their future, right? They're going to come back kicking for sure, but you just got to say well played to Oxygen because they really did take this game to Space Station.
Yeah, Jesse, you said you didn't want to throw any shade on SSG, and Veli, we were talking earlier, SSG was not playing badly, but we just know OXG is strong on Consulate.
Yeah, OXG is just way too strong on Consulate, so you guys know me. I'm always out there saying, who did what wrong and what they could have done better, but it was just a simple case of Oxygen, they were just better. And what better way to highlight it than my favorite play throughout this entire series. Now, I thought the man was crazy, and he might beat it in order to make a play like this. But during that garage take, where OXG did no roam clear, right? With one smoke grenade thrown out, Vertical ran all the way through garage, went in the kitchen, picked up a kill. Even though Bosco spotted him and killed him, it took all of the pressure off of this team. And that's been Oxygen's MO. Unselfish play, players going in and risking their lives. And Vertical, I said if he wakes up early and he goes off, Oxygen are gonna win. I'm not gonna take any type of credit from that because I did root for Space Station, but these guys played lights out, and that's what you need in order to beat the world champs.
And I want to say, like, probably this was a map that Space Station, due to, Oxygen playing this map a lot in the past, they knew Space Station, they would let this map go through the ban phase, so they knew they could pick it, so they've been prepping it, they had a lot of strats saved up, and they brought out some new stuff, right? The Clash being brought downstairs in the basement was a little bit interesting, I think, to see. There was also some interesting stuff going on with their Teller's Hold, but like a lot of them just were falling apart, and again, I think you gotta like give a lot of credit to Oxygen for like finding out what's going on and dealing with them pretty effectively. They castle strat on the Teller's Hold, where they really made the bottom of Spiral Stairs like a safe space for them. That was something I don't really think we've seen a lot of teams try to utilize, and at least I've never really seen it before. But still, it was countered pretty well every single time by just running downstairs on Oxygen and denying that C4 from stopping the plants. So every single time it seemed like Oxygen had answers. There were new strats brought out by Space Station, it just wasn't enough.
Oh my gosh, there's just so much that we'd like to talk about, but Foxay is actually on deck right now. Foxay, congratulations. I mean, you all bringing down the world champs here. How are you feeling? Can't even imagine.
I mean, feels pretty good, I guess. Like, this is what we wanted, but we kind of thought that we could do it anyway, so just feels like another win, you know?
Meh. Feels like another win. Okay, that was not the reaction I was expecting. I'm sure it feels great, though. I can see the smile on your face. Our analysts and casters, we were both talking about your team's evolution. Y'all played so coordinated. You adapted well. What did your team focus on for this matchup?
We knew how they were going to play based off of just prior experiences. We just know how they kind of at least think, I guess, because we have Redeem on our team. I know it's been some time, but he has an idea of how they work. And yeah, we figured that they would probably just do like a huge counterfest versus like me and Vert. So we just set up a lot of stuff to kind of do the opposite of what they thought we would do. And yeah, I guess it just it worked in our favor.
And we actually saw a lot of members of your team step up today. Some really standout performances in particular from Slash and Bio. Maybe that Twitter shade from Canadian getting to Bio a little bit.
Absolutely. He was talking about that all game. I can't wait for Bio to start tweeting now.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is a huge victory for y'all. How are you guys going to celebrate? I'm assuming Laxine is making steaks for you guys.
I don't know. You know, I think we're just gonna take like a day off to just enjoy it, because I'm pretty sure we don't play next week now. So yeah, just gotta enjoy it. And I mean, the season's not over. We're not finished. Like, beating SSG is nice, but there's still a lot of games to come. So just gonna, enjoy a day and then get back to it.
Well, you definitely deserve it, and I hope you all enjoy this victory so much. Congratulations again to Foxay and to Oxygen. What an awesome victory for y'all. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring it back to our analysts. I mean, they gotta make steak. You see Laxine tweeting out his steak dinners all the time. I mean, it just seems appropriate to me. But his answer off the top, I mean, he was like, yeah, okay, I would be doing backflips.
No, Jackie. See, that's why these guys are there on the prize. This is just a regular win. They're top 4 now. That doesn't mean you win the championship. This doesn't mean that you don't win nothing doing this. So there's still way more to go, and that's why I really love the WGSL format. This team is automatically top 4, and now they will fight for a bid to go to the very first major for NA. So, yeah, you don't pop champagne. You be a little happy, but you know that the best battles are right ahead of you on stage 2.
I definitely think that they should be looking ahead, but I mean, just to take down SSG, I mean, Jesse, without a doubt, that is impressive. We can't downplay that.
No, and we can't, but I think that probably the reason why maybe we aren't seeing Foxay and the rest of his team see it as like as big of a deal as us, because I think the community and sometimes us as analysts and casters kind of look at North America as like we've got the big 3 and then Oxygen's like a 4th. And like, yeah, sure, Oxygen's up there in the conversation, but they're the 4th. But I don't think that's how Oxygen see themselves, and I think they're probably right to have not seen themselves like that, given the performance we just saw today. I think the Oxygen probably have always known that, or at least walking into this, kind of knew that they were going to do well in this matchup. They kind of knew that they were on par already with Space Station, so obviously they're going to be happy that they got this. But I gotta say, I think that they're probably shaking their heads at everybody who is so surprised at this, because they probably, were walking into this one thinking, all right, we've got a good chance. Let's just prove everybody wrong, and that's what they did.
They ain't shaking their head at you. Jesse guessed right, or predicted right. You broke it all down with the numbers and everything, but you guys, that was just the first match. We got a second matchup coming up, TSM versus Dark Zero. Do not go anywhere. So much action ahead. We'll be right back.